Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to episode 82 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by the real host, Lord Cognito, the man who held it down in my absence. Cog, thank you off the air. Thank you again for all you did for our show and all you continue to do. I appreciate it. But how are you doing, my friend?
Well, look, man, the subject is about my guy right here. You know what I mean? And, as much as I like to hold it down, at the end of the day, you've always done it for me when I'm traveling and doing any type of craziness. But main thing is, how are you doing, brother? Because at the end of the day, the community showed their love. Everyone's asking about you.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to hold the fort down as best I can in your spirit. You know what I'm saying? But how's that back doing, bro? How we doing?
Yeah, let's leap right into it. So it takes me practically being completely paralyzed to not be on this show, just for clarification's sake. Like I had to either be dead, dying, or not able to move to be on this to not be on this show. So just to kind of quickly run through the story for those who don't know, because I was absent last week. 2 Saturdays ago, was at the gym. I was feeling a little lower back fatigue over the couple of weeks. I was not ending my workouts as strong. This workout I did, I was doing an overhead barbell press. I was doing lighter weight too. And it was all coming down on the lower back, though. That type of exercise, if your stomach's out, it's coming on your lower back. And I think mine was, and I wasn't paying close attention to my form there, which is a big mistake. So I go home, I'm fine, but feeling a little weak. And I was deciding, it's funny, I almost didn't go to the gym that day, too. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Don't push yourself. I did that. And I sat down, ate dinner, little sore, sat down to write for my video game with a buddy. And we're about an hour and a half into our sesh. And I go to stand up because I'm like, hey, I'm going to go get a drink. I'll be right back. And when I tried to stand up, I couldn't. I literally got to my feet and immediately toppled over. Thank God my bed was right nearby. I immediately just fall over.
That's
crazy. I'm like, and my initial reaction, I was like, holy shit. I was like, my back, bro. I was like, I can't. I was like, hold on. I think just a little stiff. So I try to stand up straight. I'm like, whoa, that took some effort.
Yeah.
And so I walked to the bathroom. I'm still in pain. Like, okay, this is really weird. I've never had this before. So after going to the bathroom, come back, lay down. I just can't get comfortable. I'm on my side. I'm on my back. Stomach, no relief. This is really weird. I tell my parents, let them know what's going on. I'm like, I'm in a lot of pain right now. And so eventually I hop off. I'm like, look, I can't write anymore. I can't really focus. I'm just in a lot of pain. Yeah. As the night progresses, this just gets worse to the point where it's borderline arthritic. When I was trying to go to, let's say I had to go to the bathroom again, it's down a hallway, bro, holding, I was 85, holding on to everything, bro. I was holding on to everything in sight to get to the bathroom. It was really scary. It was definitely one of the scariest things I've been through, just because I was like, I didn't know if something was happening to my body where I just couldn't walk anymore. I was very scared. I tried to stick it out tonight, Motrin, Advil, any anti-inflammatories I had, heat, ice, alternating to the best of my abilities, just laying in bed. And dude, at one point I was in tears and pain. It was bad. I'm not a crier, but holy shit. I was trying to lay on my side. I'd fall asleep for half an hour only to wake up and be shooting pain.
Oh, that's the worst, bro.
And I didn't get any sleep that night. So I woke up at, after a brief half-hour thing, I woke up at 7 a.m. still in really bad pain. Had to go to the ER. When I went to the ER, my mom had to push me in a wheelchair, man. Crazy. Crazy. Bro. And then, they put a lot of anti-inflammatories in me. They give me prednisone. I think it's called Torterol or something like that. It's an injectable kind of anti-inflammatory. They give me a lidocaine patch for my lower back. And by this point, when I got home, because of the amount of anti-inflammation they gave me, I was able to stand on my 2 feet, wobbly at that, but I could stand on my own 2 feet and I could get around a little bit, but you could tell something was off. And in fact, if I took off my shirt, you would see my hips were shifted to the left. Something was really out of place. And yeah, so over the course of the week that I was gone, I was on a lot of medication and I was in a decent amount of pain. It got
Mhm.
progressively less worse over the week, where now I'm pretty much pain free,
Okay.
which is really nice.
Mhm.
What they identified, just to kind of wrap this up, because I won't
Yeah,
spend a total amount of time on this, but what
Mhm.
they identified was I had a slip disc in my back from 2011, which I was
Wow.
not made aware of, by the
Wow.
way. They found
Wow.
this out when I got my appendix out. Apparently, the CAT scan caught that. Never reported that to me. No one ever said anything, which is ridiculous.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And I know my dad; he's got bad back problems. He would never let me forget if we knew about that. But
Mhm.
yeah, so they identified that there was like a slip disc, might be slightly herniated. And they took a look through the CAT scan and identified that it's healing itself, which is good. This shouldn't be a long-term problem at all. Obviously, don't rush back to the gym.
Right.
I'm going to do a little physical therapy to kind of rebuild the strength back there. And
Smart.
I'm seeing a
Smart.
spinal decompression facility, and they put me on the DRX 9000, just stretching the spine, kind of getting the disc back in place over
Ain't
time
nothing
where it
one of
can
them
naturally
medieval
correct.
torture devices doing it, ain't it? Well, in the
I
DX,
mean, it's close. They put like a harness on you, and
how
they
you
put a
gotta
whole.
say? How you gotta get in it? How you gotta
Oh,
get
dude,
in it?
it's funny. It's like Darth Vader in his machine where he's like like
Wait, the
that.
coffin joint like an MRI?
A little bit, a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
can't do it.
You like no, you don't get encased. They put a harness around you. They tie
Uh
like
huh.
a little belt strap to you.
Uh
It's tied
huh.
to a machine. It's very gradual. Just kind of stretch. Imagine someone just stretching you a little bit. That's
Okay,
what's happening.
they don't. They, see, my thing is the
No, you don't
MRI.
get like you. My arms are free. My legs are
Okay,
free.
you can move. Yeah, because the MRI be like, yo, you gotta stand still. Then we gonna slide
Oh,
you into this coffin. And then by the
mhm.
way, we gonna leave the room. See you later.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah.
Not like this.
I mean, what they will do is you'll have the harness on, and then they will, to make sure that your body is secure
It's
and that
secure,
they
so you're
can
strapped
pull
in.
they'll strap you in.
But
But
you, as long as you can move though,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
or hands. Okay,
Yeah, you're
they ain't
good.
on
You're
some stay still type. Are they on the stay
no.
still? Okay,
I
cool,
mean,
cool.
you don't want to move when it's pulling your spine,
Of
probably,
course.
but otherwise, yeah, you can move. Like I'm just chilling on my phone the whole time.
See
So
that I could do that. I could do
yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah, I
cool,
think you
cool,
can
cool.
handle it. So
Mhm.
that's been the past week and change for me. I just wanted to offer the explanation because again, it's not in my DNA. I've been through surgery and a lot of other shit and still showing up for the show. So I just want people to know it takes a lot to pull me out of
No.
it. But again, my man Cog held it down. Thank you to Ben for showing up on short notice, as
Yes,
well as Rand.
man.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you all for making a great show while I was gone.
No.
Certainly, you don't need me.
Oh, stop it. We definitely need you. We ain't gonna do that. The Dukes is whole. We back. But no, I'm glad you addressed it because you actually woke me up. And full disclosure, I tweaked my back about I would say the end of 2021. And basically I've eliminated squats from my workouts
That's what they
ever
told me
since.
to do.
And I tweaked it and it's never been all the way right. So hearing your story now gives me that motivation. Like, no, we're going to the
Hmm.
doctor. We're going to get a specialist. We're going to see because the last thing I need is if it's a disc or some spine
Yes.
alignment, let's get on it now before we get to a stage where now I'm debilitated. Because I
Yeah.
remember when I tweaked it, it was so bad. Whatever I did, like I remember kind of like what you said, like, yo, hold on. I
Hmm.
can't really move right now. I
Hmm.
need to chill. Like I was just taking baby steps, walking away from the
Yeah.
rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And it
Yeah.
came back, and I took inflammatories, but to me, that was the sign. And
Mhm.
again, we're back. You know how it is. We dudes, all right. I work through it. I'm okay today. This the next day. You know what I mean. You try to push
Yeah.
through, and tough guy. And it's still there, and that's why your situation was a wake up call. And I'm going to that specialist, brother. You have
No,
no idea.
definitely, because what I avoided through all this was a lot of herniation and degeneration. More importantly, even if the herniation is there, they saw on the CAT scan there's no degeneration of my back, which means I'm not going to be like completely screwed up down the line. But I had to be careful of it. It's like rolling your ankle. Now that it's been rolled, I can roll it again pretty easily.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
this is coming from someone, again, my dad has bad back issues. So for me personally, like I am very attentive to this type of stuff. Like I've always been like form first, strength later, and it hurt me. So just, a reminder to our audience real quick. I'm certainly not a health coach, but what I can say is just be careful when you're picking
Be
up those
careful.
weights. We're talking about that health is wealth mindset. And part of
Absolutely.
it is when you get hurt, getting right on it like Cog's doing. Or like
Preach,
I did.
preach. Glad to have you back, brother. Though that was
Thank
just
you.
yeah,
It's
for
good to
sure.
be back.
No doubt.
And in fact, Kickstand has a little bit of advice for the audience. Gents, last thing I want to do is tell Mr. Matty how to live his life, but I do want to say be careful out there. As a 6'8" guy about your age with chronic lower back pain, I can relate, but don't overdo it out there. And take care of yourself, sir. Want to see you gaming to old age. Cog, keep it up too. I just want to throw that in there because a lot of people reached out. Like, since we started this show, I've had my childhood dog pass away. My Mimi passed away. It was like my best friend. And I'm not saying it's in a bad way, but more people reached out about this than anything else, like a genuine concern. And a lot of people were very accommodating for me, like extremely accommodating, double checking, triple checking on me. Cog was like my dad, was in my DMs like every day. How you doing, bro?
Gotta check on him, man. Gotta check
LSM
on
team
him,
was checking in. Everyone was checking in. It was really, really nice to see, I guess, concern, because I was kind of being, if you will, stoic about it, trying to be like, I got this. But I was able to let my guard down and feel pretty good about things with everyone reaching out, both the audience, co-workers and whatnot. It was really nice. So I just wanted to thank the audience for that. It helped a lot.
Salute, man. You loved out here, man.
Mm-hmm.
You loved.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, Cog, your love too. Infinite writes in, hey Dukes, a long-time listener, but first time writing in. Just wanted to reach out to the show. General appreciation for all the hard work and knowledge you put into these episodes, and also share with your viewers. I'm writing in because I'm about to head to Navy boot camp up in northern Chicago. So this will be my last defining Duke for the next 10 weeks. With the energy that you, Matty, and Cog bring to the table, it's always a pleasure to hear what you have to say. I'll absolutely tune in again upon the completion of my training, and just know I'm savoring this one. As always, keep with the good work and have a great day. So let's put on a great show for Infinite here. Yeah. Last one in 10 weeks. Shout out to Infinite.
Shout out to him, man. Go knock that thing out. We'll be right here, and we can't wait to hear from you again when you come back, man. But salute, that brings a lot of joy to us to hear what you wrote.
100%. Hopefully no acquisitions while you're gone.
Yes.
We'll hold on to them for you. I sent Phil a text. Don't worry. Last one, just another kind writing here from Mario Mendoza. Hey, Matty and Cog, no question this week, but felt inclined to write in. I was feeling some stomach pain this past Sunday and thought it was simply something I ate. It continued into Monday, so I went to the ER, and it turns out I needed to get my appendix taken out that same day. I've been there before. It was actually funny enough. In my lower back, I felt it. Fortunately, it was caught in the time before it burst. I was feeling a bit discouraged when it all came about, as I was told I would need to have surgery very soon after. The surgery went well, and I'm currently out of surgery, resting in the hospital bed, but currently listening to Defining Duke. And I must say, it is a real encouragement having a little bit of an escape listening to you guys, since I'm not able to do much while in the hospital. Keep up the awesome work, and know that you guys are a breath of fresh air to listen during tough times. P.S. Look at this. Look at this trooper here. Listen to this. In the hospital after a surgery, and look what he's doing. I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, Cog, but dang it, Rafa is a must play. This is coming from someone that someone else who was initially skeptical when Matty mentioned it, but finished it, is currently working on a sequel. Take care, guys. So yeah, that's what's up right there.
You're back officially now. Yeah. The streak could. You know what's funny? I had to painfully read a note that you left to.
That's the only part I listened to last week. Just to make sure you did it.
I was like, damn, I gotta uphold this.
I appreciate it. I'll do the same for Yakuza. Don't worry.
No doubt. We got to get it done.
All right. We talked enough about health. Thank you to everyone for your kind write-ins. We have many more of those in this episode. I didn't do any of the promotional stuff. I forgot about all that. Early access for the show. If you want to listen on Thursdays, you can head over to patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you can sign up. You can also get Defining Duke Ultimate. Cog held it down there. Cog, what was this episode on? I actually didn't get a chance to check.
Yeah, me and Sav, the post acquisition Activision Blizzard King. What are potential targets? What could be realistic? So we brought in Saul because, shout out to my brother Saul from ILP. He was the only person who predicted successfully that Activision would be the next target. And we laughed him out of the room. We were like, what? What are you talking? No one wants them. And how? And yes, we had to bend the knee. And I said, you know what? Who better to ask what he thinks is going to happen? So please check it out. It was a fun episode. It was Saul's debut. Saul rarely comes outside. He rarely does anything. So it was a treat. And me and him got to riff like old times. So if you got some time, take it out.
Absolutely. So if you want to double up on your Duke over on the Patreon, you'll get one episode Wednesday, one episode Thursday, all part of the early access program. Check it out. Patreon.com/laststandmedia. Shout out to our mobile listeners. Reviews have been going up. Our ranking has been going up over on chartable.com. Y'all can see it for yourself. Look up Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. You can see exactly what I see because I don't know much of the numbers outside of that. So it's all publicly available. But yeah, we're doing a great job together as a community. Thank you for putting us in the top 50 for gaming podcasts. Yeah, we're doing very, very well. I'm pleased.
Salute to the community.
With that, Cog, gaming news time. All right.
Yes,
got a couple of release dates for you. Number one, Dragon Ball The Breakers releasing October 14th. This is the asymmetrical multiplayer game by Dimps. How are we feeling about this one, Cog? You're kind of our multiplayer guy here, I'd say. And I don't know if you like Dragon Ball at all, but has this one called your attention by chance?
Yeah.
My man.
Yeah, not really. But I watch from a distance. Let the Dragon Ball community tell me what's going on. What I see, I was like, nah. Now the One Piece joint.
Oh, One Piece Odyssey?
That looked good. I got my eye on that one. That one was giving me a lot of Dragon Quest vibes. This one, I'm like, what about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've played every single Dragon Ball game I can think of, and I saw the Breakers, and it's funny because the community was calling for diversity, right? They were like, give us different Dragon Ball games, right? We're always getting fighters, and then you see that, you're like, not this! Like, not this, bro.
Anything but this.
Yeah. So I'll play it. I got to check it out just out of curiosity. I know some YouTubers have already played it through, I think, an early access program for content creation. It seemed like a quick fad, like in and out. I don't have a lot of hope with this game, but speaking of which, got another game that I didn't have much hope for, and we said needed a delay, and it looks like they took that advice. Daedalic Entertainment has delayed Lord of the Rings Gollum by a few months from its original September release date. This is the second delay as it was pushed from its release date last year. So this game's in a lot of trouble right now. Very relieved to see it being delayed. It looked like they were going all in on September for Lord of the Rings with Rings of Power, with this Gollum game, but it looks like they took a good look at it and said, this isn't up to stuff. So you'll have to wait a little bit longer for that one, everyone. Sorry. Hate to say it.
Sorry. No precious.
Yes, indeed. Next here, Cog, you sent this my way. Verizon is selling Xbox Series X and S consoles as a part of the Xbox All Access program now. That was kind of interesting to see. More options.
Yeah, this is interesting. And remember when All Access was announced, I thought, the partnership with GameStop was very intriguing to me. To see the potential to come in there and say, hey, I don't got it right now, but you can sign up for this All Access. You can walk out the store right now with a console, Game Pass, or whatever. Thought that was interesting. I think the Verizon thing we need to keep an eye on because the thing I look at is besides All Access, right, which is great, which is a great deal in itself. You're looking on board. Look at the ISP relationships that they're building. And I see them getting closer. And I don't know if North America Verizon will overall be that IP, but I'm going to be honest. I'm biased. I'm on Verizon, right? From a mobile standpoint. And I have to say, like, coming from the East Coast, 5G network, I use this as my mobile hotspot. I literally power my little man with my X screen with my phone and have outstanding network connection. So I'm literally playing it on the go. So pay attention to that relationship. I want to see if more things develop as a result of it, because this goes with the xCloud initiative. This goes with all their initiatives. And I'll be honest, like, I think me and you had this conversation offline, like when it comes, because I'm going to eventually, Cog's going to have to buy a house eventually. Yes. And, part of my requirements is, what's up with that internet? I won't buy a house if the internet is not lit. If there ain't no fiber, like you had this discussion. That's part of the moving. Whoever you going to live with, but first, what about that internet?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so keep an eye on it.
I was the same way with this spot here when I looked around so many places that I really liked, and I found this place, which I also really like, but how was the internet though? That was always the deciding factor. And I know when Laylee and I start the house hunt, it's going to be that moment where it's like, I really like this place, but the internet though.
But the internet though, and shout out to my boy, I hate to put my boy out on Front Street, Ebontis, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful. Shout out to Mrs. Ebontis, beautiful home in Texas. Oh my God, gorgeous. But he kicks himself every day because he's locked in to one ISP, and the upload speeds are horrible. He's so angry.
Need options.
Exactly.
Next on our list, Annapurna Interactive is having a showcase this week. By the time you're listening, it will have already occurred, July 28th. So just keep an eye out for the announcements from that if you missed it. Very curious to see what they're doing, because had this hilarious moment. Laylee came to visit me one of these times this past week, and she played Stray. This was an Annapurna published game, and she beat Stray. She really loved it. And she goes onto the PlayStation Plus collection to kind of surf through their options there. I am not exaggerating. Every game she clicked on was published by Annapurna.
It
was incredible. It was like watching me click on like Doom, then Wolfenstein, and then like the Evil Thing and go, oh, this looks cool. Oh, it's Bethesda. Oh, this looks cool. Oh, it's published by Bethesda too. She clearly has a taste here. So it was actually really funny to watch her like hit up all these games. She's like, oh, the Outer Wilds. And there it is, publisher, Annapurna Interactive. Yeah, so they got some fire games. And I just wanted to put it out there that they're going to be showing off some more indies.
Yeah, we got to take a look. Got to take a look, see what's going on.
You know, it may be a hot take to say, but Stray is one of the biggest games of the year. There were some complaints last week. I read that you guys talked about Stray, and I don't really know why. I don't know why that was problematic.
They mad at Ben because Ben mentioned. I'm like, they asked what he's playing. What we playing? We do play other platforms too. You know what I'm saying? Like I've mentioned VR game here and there. You know, or you mentioned. I mentioned. I think Sifu. I was playing one time. Like you've mentioned stuff.
They'll be displeased with what I'm playing this week if other platforms are an issue.
Listen, we got other platforms too. You can say that you played them. It's okay.
Next, this one. Oh yeah, so soon. I love what Konami's doing here. Just didn't have to make me wait too long. Just a single month away. CMNT Cowabunga Collection releasing August 30th. Counting down the days to that one. I'm excited because I've been holding on. Like Retro Rebound, I have all these ideas on like a list. And one of them was, I do this kind of retrospective series, like remembering Game X. And what I've been holding on
Alliance, thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Oh, man, and I love just combing through them, like very analytical. And one I've been holding back on is the TMNT video games because there's so many I want to talk about. But I was like, I got to wait for like a TMNT pop. This is going to be it. So I'm very excited about that.
Good sequencing.
Indeed. And then apparently, according to some leaks online, this would line up with previous multiplayer reveals. Modern Warfare 2 is getting its multiplayer reveal in September. You looking forward to checking that one out?
Yeah, I'll take a look. I mean, I have now a newly invested interest in Call of Duty.
Yes.
Yes, all of a sudden, for certain reasons, now I got to pay attention. Look, one thing about potential of Game Pass, free 99 will perk your ear up on things that you had no business perking your ear up before. But now you got a reason to. There's no excuse.
Indeed. So we'll learn more about that shortly. And with that, let's talk about what games we're playing, Cog. You got the lineup here of lineups. So I'd love to hear from you first, because one of these games has really taken the internet by storm. And I'd love to hear some more about it, because I have yet to check it out, but I do have it downloaded.
So shout out to LSM fam, my man, the mayor, Ben Smith, who held us down in your absence. And we got to games played, and this man went on an amazing rant about Power Wash Simulator and how not only did he go on this rant about Power Wash Simulator, this man said that it is his goatee. This is his potential game of the year. So immediately I'm like, blasphemous. I'm like, what are you've got to explain this to me, man. So he's breaking it down. He's like, I'm telling you just something about it, and it's for me. And I said, all right. And so I still didn't understand it. So I'm literally, my whole timeline, there's been people like, yo, I played it. Cog, yo, I like it. Really? All right, cool. So in fairness, Cog has to try it. So I threw it on. And I will say this. It is the most simple premise, and like you literally just open the game and it's like, all right, clean this van. It's like, do this job and get paid. It is something about reward recognition that this game does very well. Okay. Whereas, like, you clean a spot, you get the tail light, right? Then it's like, ding, a little thing comes up, money comes up on the screen. It's nice and soothing. You got now here's the funny part. So I'm playing the game, and I got two of my friends in the party chat. Shout out to Sinister, shout out to Volacon. They've already played it. They like giving me oh no, bro, you're not using the red. You can't use the red nozzle, bro.
No.
I know y'all not. You know, right, man? Like that, I'm laughing. I'm like,
I'm giving you the meta.
They give me the power wash meta. Like, bro, no, if you really want to get those stains on that windshield, you're gonna have to use this nozzle, turn up, use the yellow for this, the red for high pressure. I'm like, y'all ridiculous. So I'm laughing at them, right? So then they're like, all right, Cog, well, we could do the co-op. So I ain't gonna lie, I was like, oh, co-op. I didn't know we had co-op.
Oh, real? Okay, I didn't let you know about
that. We do this mission, we like like the mayor's house, and you get graffiti
Friend's
off, and you're
house.
doing all this
Okay.
stuff. And then when you complete the clean, like there's a little replay of you. You can. Here's the funny part. The
Oh
funny
no.
part is hilarious. How intense you could get into this. Like you could kneel down, crouch, get underneath dirty spots underneath tires, and do it. Like it is very interactive. I must admit, is it something I'm going to play long term? Probably not. But there is a soothing accomplishment nature to the game that makes you wonder. And here's the thing: this is where you feel good because things be really dirty. But
Okay.
like, bro, when you clean something, it looked like it's the most ray traced reflection. It's so it looks beautiful when you clean something. So I was like, look, they found their niche. Shout out to Power Wash Simulator team. It's in Game Pass. Hey, you want to be in a party chat and to pass some time, this will be the game for you. I have to admit, it is better than what I thought it was going to be. So
it's got 21,000 plus reviews on Steam. Like this is not a small get for them. They probably paid for a small get, but this was a wise addition to Game Pass. It's funny to say. It's the same thing with Stray, right? Like, oh, it's one of the biggest games of the year, but it is. It's a game about a cat. Power Wash Simulator. It's one of the biggest games of the year. It's crazy.
Yeah, and more players than Halo Infinite on Steam. But we moving on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
We saw the numbers.
Hold on.
Yeah. I don't know what it is now, but last week, that's what it was.
Yeah, I just, you know me, I'm all about the real-time treatment here. Power Wash Simulator.
Shout out to Ben bringing it to us attention. I was like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, right now we got 6,000 people playing as of 20 minutes ago. Halo Infinite.
What's Halo Infinite? Where they at?
Oh no, 4,000. Oh no.
Power, get on Game Pass, y'all. Get in there. Listen, the user, the engagement is there for Power Wash. So I've been doing that. And of course, gotta move on. Matty has the appropriate jersey on right now. The Kings of Queens, the subway. You know what I'm saying? We know where the train's supposed to go. Shout out to the 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Pila Lazo. Shout out to the whole Met team. It's looking real nice right now. Hopefully we make a little trade on the back end. But MLB, this show, I have been going so hard. Like 120 games in. I'm ready and rocking and rolling. I just got to make the move now. Get the little the big boy that we picked up from Pittsburgh. Big boy with the bat.
Ogabach.
Ogle, we gotta get Vogue. Shout out to my Pirates for that great trade, giving us that. I like that. But hopefully we get another bat. And because now I'm trying to do my franchise where I want them to. I don't want to start I'm gonna finish March to October, but I don't want to start my franchise until the trade deadline is over, and then I can finalize.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's a Soto or if it's a what's the JD Martinez I'm hearing for us. I'm hearing
who I heard was Ohtani.
Don't do that.
That would be something, right? Because we need a DH.
Cover the box. Let's go. Yeah. Don't do that. That would be crazy. So hopefully they get a little back. You know what I'm saying? But I've been having so much fun, man. Hit my first game winner walk off with
I saw the clip on Twitter.
Yes, did that. I'm playing like 4 or 5 games a night. And then of course the last one is the Raka Blade Point new event out right now. Campaign mode coming this weekend.
Oh,
bro! Campaign mode in a battle. I'm dying to know how they handle it. They're dropping a new map maybe 2 weeks later. Colin, man, I'm sorry. Remember I told y'all it's going to be a game that is going to be. And that E's got one, bro. They got one. I mean, it ain't Tencent, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a game, and I'm not gonna hide from it. This game thoroughly has its hooks on me, and they keep adding great content. So that's where I'm pretty much at right now. But what about you?
Yeah, so I got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 early thanks to the power of eBay. I saw a couple of people tweeting about it online that copies had leaked. So I went and looked, and I paid a bit of a premium on it, but it actually did arrive, which was pretty awesome to see. And I've had it since the 22nd, I want to say. Like, I've had it for a while. Put about 20 hours into it, which is significant for Xenoblade Chronicles, because I played the second one. I never played the first one, but I played the second one for like 5 hours, and I was like, this ain't it. Like, I'm out. Just as a JRPG fan, it was just the voice acting. Like,
I knew he was gonna say that. The Irishy guy.
Yes, yeah. They kind of have like a British,
Yes.
yeah, in term accent to it all. But
Hmm.
I what's funny is I've grown to like it in 3, but in 2, I think it was like just so hard on the ears, not because of the accent, but rather the character designs with the accent. Like
Yes.
Rex looks like a goofball, bro. And there's a lot of fan service in this game too. And I'm just like, who are we going for here? So the reason I say that all is to set up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 takes itself a lot more seriously. I really like it because of that. In fact, question here from Dustin Graff, who writes, "Hey,
Hmm.
this one's primarily for Matty, but Cog, feel free to add any input you'd like. I wrote in about the Switch and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and during your answer, you mentioned you were interested in 3. Seeing Retro Rebound, I now know you got it and are happy with it thus far. One of my main gripes with the series is areas that you are forced to walk through for the main story missions and the enemies that are much stronger than you. You try to walk past and they spot you and you die in one hit. Have you seen anything like that, or does it seem to have gone away? Happy with the layout of the levels. The verticality in the second game was another issue I had. However, for all my issues with 2, I still really liked it and played it for 105 hours. Hope you continue to enjoy your time in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Thanks, guys. Dustin. So, yes, Dustin, I don't have prior experience really with the franchise outside of a couple of hours in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. What I will say is that, yeah, there are higher level enemies in certain areas. You can sheath your weapon and run away and escape battles. They have their level marker right above their head, and it'll be color coordinated. So if it's like a level 50 and you're level 20, it's going to be a deep, dark red, really hard to miss. You just have to be not paying attention. But yes, effectively, they could just engage with you and one hit you, but they're put in certain instances and areas where like it's very avoidable. They
Gotcha.
designed the areas better where like they're not on the main mission trail. Where like the level 50 stuff might be in the heart of the area, but your path to the main mission's over to the right. So it takes you around it. You could engage, you'll probably die. The verticality's still there. You do have to do a little bit of like running around. But yeah, that kind of dovetails into what I was really going to get into next is this game's like open and expansive, really big, like Final Fantasy 12 vibes, like very wide open, places to explore, very impressive scale, especially for the hardware it's built on. It does not look great, but it does run pretty well. And again, these areas are big and they're fun to explore because there's just so many little things to do. You can engage in like battles with elite enemies, unique enemies. These are like mini bosses onto their own. Combat in this game is fantastic. A lot of synergy across tons of mechanics. You'll have like a face button for every attack you can do while the game auto attacks for you. And so if you synchronize those face button presses with the auto attack, you'll do a combo and you'll do more damage. And every role has their own role action. So as you do those, you'll build up a gauge that'll do a special attack. You can interlink to turn into this much bigger creature. You can craft weapons, gems. You can cook food. It's doing everything. It's a really, really impressive video game. And I've just been enjoying it a lot. And the fact that I'm 20 hours in, really liking it, says a lot because it's kind of eating up some of the time from Live Alive, sorry, is what it's called. That is a game that I really like, and I was so excited for it. But Xenoblade is, it's a commitment. It's a big one. And
that's a commitment.
I've been liking it, though, so I'm sticking with it.
Nice.
Now, I have not abandoned my Xbox entirely. I've been playing As Dusk Falls in co-op. I gotta say, Cog, I am a couple chapters in, and I am mighty impressed by this story. I am liking As Dusk Falls a lot. In fact, I gotta say that this online component and the way that you can do choices, this is something that I need to be stolen by every narrative developer out there who's making these types of point and click adventure games and these types of story driven games. We need this in every single video game. It makes it infinitely more fun. The story's already good. Like if I was playing by myself, I think it'd be great, right? The story's A+ right now, but having the ability to override your friend, take control. No, we're doing this. Then they can override your override, but like, no, we're doing this. And like, suddenly you're out of choices. That's what happened. We were all like guns drawn. And then my fourth friend comes in. He's like, override. We're doing this. He comes in at the end after we blew all our overrides strategically. So awesome on an interactive mechanic, co-op level. But the story here is really good. I'm very surprised by this. It's smart that Xbox got behind it. You got to get used to the art style. I got to say, in the first like 30 minutes, I was really like grinding through it a bit. I was like, I'm just not feeling it. But eventually you just get used to it. I don't know. I can't say I like it.
Great analogy.
But you just get used to it. And if you can just accept that part of the game, you got a really riveting tale here. And I love how many choices they show in those branching
Yes.
paths. Wow.
Bro.
Everyone's going to have their own story to tell. And we're going to do a spoiler cast next week on this.
I'm
And it's going
ready.
to be interesting to hear what everyone's choices were. So very excited for that one. This is a great exclusive. I know it's not a sexy one, a big one, a high profile one, but it's a great addition to the library. Xbox was smart to get behind this one. And if you have yet to play it, really good co-op game. There's a reason why rumor says that this was Game Pass pick of the week 2 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah.
Indeed. Good
Yeah, and it
choice.
wasn't my fault because Rand it was on him, and he picked. I couldn't tell. No, that can't be your. You know what I'm saying? That's why it ended up being too. So the guest we always give the guest the thing. But real quick, I'm just so happy to hear people like it because you gotta understand. For me, this is my little in the cut indie gem that I was like only I was going to like, right? So to hear people say, "No, Cog, I like it," I'm like, "Oh, this makes me feel good," because I literally was when we were in the viewing room with the dev, and they said what you said. And I saw that choice thing, and then I saw the multi. I'm like, y'all got something, and y'all don't realize it. Y'all need to lean into that. I told. Shout out to Carolyn, Marshawn, and the entire. I said, y'all better lean into this. This could be like you said. Every Telltale style of that should lead into it. It's a great component.
Yeah, absolutely, because they got something there, and that could just really build a genre unto itself. So if they kind of leave behind the art style and do something a little more video game-ish, I think they'll capture more people too. Because I think you and I talked, and they're really not trying to capture a gaming audience, weren't they?
I got the sense they're going for the casual market, and then the fact that you use a mobile app, and I get the sense they want that bigger, and that fits with Xbox. So it's going to be interesting to see how it does, so to speak.
Well, here's a sign it's working. My brother played it from start to finish. My brother does not play many video games. Yep.
That's the market. That's that demographic.
He's usually into sports games and whatnot. He'll play the occasional like Uncharted or something. I told him about this though. I said, I feel like you'd like As Dusk Falls. Give it a try. And he beat it in like a 2-night span.
Wow,
so he really liked it. Yeah.
Interesting. I can't wait to do our spoiler cast.
Indeed. And last thing, I just been more Steam Deck action, bro. This thing is, I fall in love with it again and again and again. This thing is legit. If you are interested in getting it, I highly recommend you pursue one heavily. It's become my real go-to device. Emulation is fantastic on this thing. Just that flexibility is insane. The performance for a lot of games is great. I can now access Game Pass, of course, but now not natively, but
you did it. How did it run? I didn't set mine up yet.
It runs really well. You know, the one thing that's weird about the setup is if you were to, I took the long way around, right? So they give you a couple of console commands you got to put into the PC, the desktop side of things. Right. And when you do that, I typed it in manually on the virtual keyboard. So I'm like dash desktop. I'm just like gradually putting in because I didn't have a Bluetooth keyboard. I have one now. Shout out to Jimmy Champagne, Deck Ready, my man. Gave me all the accessories that I'll need to have for my Steam Deck. So I bought them all. So we're set up. Use that affiliate link. So I helped them out.
Yes.
But originally I was putting it all in manually. It doesn't work that way. You got to copy and paste it, which you can do on the virtual keyboard and whatnot. But it's just a little bit more of a hassle. You got to use the trackpads and whatnot. But this is like really my first time getting familiar with the desktop version of things because I was looking around at not only emulation but also this Game Pass thing and setting it up again, and I was really just taken back by how capable this machine really is.
Oh yeah,
it really is. But anyway, you have to copy and paste this command, and because originally I typed it in manually and it didn't work, so I go to Jimmy. I'm like, hey dude, this is what happened. He's like, no, just copy and paste it. He's like, for some reason manual input doesn't work. Then I get to test out Xbox Game Pass more extensively. A little bit of a hassle, but it's not my first time using it. But now it's just like, let me pick up like Halo, see how that feels. Dude, I got to say, because this is my first time using xCloud in a hot minute. It really is. And I got to say, I'm impressed with how far things have come. Like the way games are running right now. I'm on my home internet. My home wireless internet is okay. Not amazing, not bad. It's as okay as you can get. Image quality was solid enough, but I was playing Halo 3 ODST, the busy rooftop mission, and it was not skipping a beat at all. That's about all you can ask for. And the way that they've set it up where it's now just a thing inside my Steam library, I just click play and it just logs me in, brings me to the Game Pass app, and I just pick whatever and I pick up where I left off. The Steam Deck's now coming with me to places because I can continue that save file whenever. So I just want that native support. I think that'll be the thing that gets over the hump. I think right now this is a good half step, but we need something a little more natural here. So just been playing a lot of my Steam Deck and loving it all over again.
Yeah, 2 quick points on that. One, shout out to Solve, him and you are in alignment. He's a Steam Deck bane now. This man said like it fits everything with his jobs and how he moves around. So he's in the same pocket as you. Yeah. And the other thing is, from what I even heard, Xbox has come out, and even though you're saying it's running well, Xbox has come out and said like that's not the latest codec, but it's not the more recent version of their tech to even. So the fact that it's running that well on this kind of Jimmy Rig makeshift version to do it is kind of interesting to me. So imagine when they do fully integrate, whether hopefully it's native, that excites me. Steam Deck is extremely impressive piece of tech. It is. I'm loving it.
It is. Absolutely. So just again, a reminder to everyone that I'm not trying to build up envy, because anytime I talk about it, a lot of people are like, oh, I wish. I'm just letting everyone know your interest is well worth it. I've had this thing for about 3 months. I'm going to do a little re-review on Mr. Matty Plays, kind of saying the praises of it again. This thing is legit. It is the bee's knees. Let's talk with the audience again. We got a handful of questions here. RK128 is our first one. Hey, Dukes of Us. This is PlayStation related, but it's important considering Xbox does the opposite usually. Last of Us PS5 being such a, this is in quotes, lazy remake, end quote, really just highlights why Xbox is a better platform for remasters and releases of games. Playing things like Sonic Unleashed, the Gears saga, and even games like Ori 2 benefit with either hardware features, FPS boost, or smart delivery support, all for free. Should we be concerned Microsoft will try to imitate Sony's approach? They have been getting away with this since the PS5 launch, sadly. I'm paying $80 for The Last of Us 2 on PS5 next year kind of day. I wanted to talk about this just a little bit. Not to slander PlayStation, but I feel like sometimes when I read the comments, we have more PlayStation listeners than Xbox listeners. I want to know, Cog, from our side of the fence, if you will, I'll put that in quotes, how you're feeling about what you saw with The Last of Us Part 1 remake. There's a lot of scuttlebutt online about this kind of being overpriced. It was already an initial feel for that. Like we had the remastered version. We see the PS5 leaks. Then PlayStation posted a deep dive that same day. Not really feeling it too much, but I want to know where you are at with this and get a little more in depth on it.
Love this question by RK128. All right, here's the deal. I was interested when the announcement happened for it. And I was like, all right, I'll go back to it or whatever. But I gotta be honest, like me personally, I couldn't justify the $70 price point based on what was being offered. I get the haptics, I get the 3D audio, the actual models look good. I'm not going to take that away. There's some controversy obviously about Last of Us 2, the prone and should they be doing all that stuff. I just look at it like it's such a short window since we had the last one. You know what I'm saying? You had a PS3 launch, and you had the PS4 remaster, now you have this, right? Mm-hmm. And this is why it's a good question, because I look at something, and then also key point, no, obviously Factions is not part of it, right? Yeah. Factions is going to be some separate thing, so you're not getting that. But the way I look at it, and to me, it's a stark difference in the philosophies of both companies this gen. And I think this is why Xbox has garnered a lot of support this gen. I told them, people like, yo, the games. Fair on the first party, fair on the black blockbusters, but you can't deny Game Pass, and you can't deny the value, and you can't deny the features. I've told multiple people, like, they are the most consumer-friendly console I have ever seen. We just talked about Xbox All Access. We talked about Game Pass, smart delivery, FPS boost, auto HDR. The list goes on. This starts to add up, right? Mm-hmm. So now you look at it, and it's like, okay, I look at something like Gears Remake. Granted, it wasn't this generation, right? But it was fully reimagined from the ground up. Gears 1, right? 4K 60, similar, right? From the ground up. Then multiplayer, fully included, redone inside, and a $40 price point, right? Mm. So I'm not disrespecting Naughty Dog. Hey, the market is going to dictate what it's going to be, right? And to me, I'm going to say something controversial. Sony knows that their market is going to spend it. There is nothing that has indicated from their analytics that their fans are going to say, we ain't doing it. Now, in the fans' defense, when the leaks came out, and granted, they were grainy, they wasn't from a good source or whatever, but people saw some things and was like, yo, what happened to that AI I was talking about? We still see Ellie running around, you know what I mean? And in the middle of the firefight. Like, I thought it was so, and then where's the pro? So they showed me they care about their image. And they immediately put the tweet out, yo, no, this is what you're getting. This is what you're going to get, all these great features and yada, yada. All I say is it behooves Xbox to continue their strategy. They've been aggressive and say, hey, we ain't charging, 70, or hey, we not, well, maybe yet, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But hey, we're not doing, we're the good guys. And it behooves them based on last generation's finish, so to speak, the second place finish. Sure. So that's where I'm at. It's interesting to watch, man. And to me, the final thing, I know I'm going long, but the final thing I want to say, I am curious about truly if there's going to be people that boycott. I know the hardcore, some of us are like, yo, some ain't doing it. But I want to see if the masses, when that movie drops and there's something about that PlayStation quality, that greatness that people will still buy. So this is going to be a good litmus test to see how it works.
Yeah, I think one of the major defining factors of these remakes is time. I think when there's enough time, it doesn't matter what you call it. People are just happy it's back. And I think with The Last of Us, we haven't had enough time to forget it. I think The Last of Us Part 2 continues to be this game that resurfaces and isn't the most positive conversation, although it's a very loved game and a successful game to some extent. I think that I'm not going to scoff at like 10 million sales, but I think when they announced 10 million sales for The Last of Us Part 2, that felt a little soft compared to what I was really expecting when you look at something like, I don't know, Ghost of Tsushima. There he is. He's pulling out the mask. Yeah, when you think about the Ghost, I mean,
I think the real champ over here, the new guy, the new guy?
Yeah. Sony might want to be aware of that they're poisoning the well a little bit here. And I think, there hasn't been much of a space for this franchise. You had the original release, which was phenomenal. You had a remaster for PS4. Okay, sure, bring it forward. That's fine. I'm the one calling for Fallout being brought forward. Like, I literally am not going to try to be a hypocrite here. It's been preserved. Then you get into the PS5 gen, and I think things have gotten sticky here, and smart delivery continues to be a undervalued talking point, as Cog was saying, because I'm going through it right now with Neo 2. So I bought the Neo remaster collection, Neo 1 and 2 remaster for PlayStation 5. I love Neo, so I picked it up on a sale over on eBay, and when I got my hands on the game, I threw it in, and I went to load up my Neo 2 save. Wasn't there. I'm used to the mindset of like, okay, so this game, my save will just get downloaded for the cloud. What I have to do now, get the PS4 out of the box, hook it back up, install the base game, upload the save to the cloud from the game, then go into my PS5 and download the save file from the cloud. Bro. And I just think PlayStation, between that, their director's cuts, and really watering down what a remake can be, is in a spot that will be very profitable for them. But what's going to happen is now I think we're going to start to devalue what a remake means, because this is going to be a game that I think does well, sells to millions of people, and they're going to think that's what a remake is. To me, I look at Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's a remake. That's a remake. That's when you look at the original product and then you look at the base game. That's a remake. And as we'll talk about later, when I saw the original KOTOR and I saw what I saw for KOTOR Remake, that was a goddamn remake. That was not the original product. The Last of Us Part 1 Remake does look good, but that is not a remake. I don't care. That is not. There is a remake on a technical level, which I'm sure they did. They remade parts of the game, if you will, the models and whatnot to look more updated. Then there is the remake of actually from the ground up building this game. And I can't believe that's what happened here. I think, to me personally, this is something that should not be sold for the price, because that's what, again, also matters is they could call it what they want. If you're asking for 70, that's where you're going to start to rustle some jimmies. That's the other point. So, should we be concerned, to answer RK's question, Cog, should we be concerned that Microsoft will try to imitate Sony's approach? I'd say no, because they've shown pretty much every bit of resistance they could to being Sony.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see it. It just doesn't align with what their model has been so far. So, and like I said, it's just different philosophies. And Jim Ryan, in my opinion, we talked about on the crossover episode, that, he values these games as these mega blockbusters. And I think this is the thing they're going to do. So don't be surprised if Ghost gets that treatment or whatever. But I'm with you. I don't feel, I'm not telling anyone, I'm not going on to say, hey, don't buy. If you want to buy, that's your business. I'm the last person. I'm going to buy what I want to buy, regardless of what anybody says. But for me, if you put a gun to my head, I'm waiting. I'm not, that didn't warrant 70 to me. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, all right, it's cool. When it comes out on sale or you throw that joint on PS Premium, I'll be right there to rock out. But yeah, I don't think Xbox, to the question, is going to partake in that kind of practice. That's just what I see right now.
Yeah. And that's different from, again, time where like Banjo's been a rumored remake. If Banjo comes back, I think there's been enough time there where people will willingly pay for it. I just don't think the gap is quite there for The Last of Us, where people will pay for The Last of Us, and I think would happily do so if we added like another 5 years to the clock, maybe.
Completely agree.
Problem is that game already looks so good on the PS3. Remastering it was kind of a tough call. Yeah, so,
absolutely.
Anyway, thanks for writing in, RK. Let's talk to Beloved Emperor. Hello, Dukes of a particular definition. Are we at the beginning of Matty's villain arc? First came the somber realization that Fallout's future lies in the 2030s. Then E3 occurs, and the avowed drought continues. Sucker Punch then continues the pain by stomping on our naive hope that we may one day view with our mortal eyes a new Sly Cooper. Then comes the great herniation, and now Matty's beloved game is in a race with Star Wars Eclipse to see which Star Wars game will come out this generation. All I can say is I'm so sorry. Keep up with the great content each and every week. P.S. I hope you both have all my video games hopes have been mercilessly destroyed, but at least I got Persona on Xbox kind of day. Yeah, so of course I had to selfishly throw this one in here. I had to talk about the KOTOR remake.
I'm worried about your turn, man. I'm worried. I think he's on it. I think Beloved Emperor's on something, man. Where are you at?
My heel turn is coming. Mm-hmm. This has been painful for sure. Yeah, I wanted to talk about it because on this show, of course, I've reported information on this. I've broken a lot of news down from the developer working on it to content within the game. I've had my ear pretty close to the ground on this game. I want to say first and foremost, I had no idea this was coming at all. Like there was no inkling, no suggestion. There was like a pretty good vibe in the team that like this project was going well. They were happy with what they were working on, and what I saw looked pretty fucking good. So I got to say, like, I was kind of surprised by this on that merit alone. Obviously, my emotions aside, though, what they showed the PlayStation, according to a report from Jason Schreier, was not up to snuff. They did not like what they saw. Lucasfilm did not like what they saw whatsoever. And now we're in the mess of rumors where I feel like Aspire and PlayStation need to get out ahead of this because now they're talking about like there was gender flipping of characters. The people I communicated with on this confirmed to me nothing main story wise was getting changed at all. So. Okay. Where those rumors to me have gained a lot of traction, I don't think are true. But one of the main questions we got through our show, Cog, that I want to focus on, so it's not just me venting my emotions. I want to know how you feel about people writing in asking, did Xbox dodge a bullet here? Were they wise to, we and I have really held their feet to the fire. I reported on this show that Xbox had the opportunity to invest in this game. They chose not to. Did they make the right call?
All right.
Talking about legacy versus the quality of it now.
It's a good question.
And you're taking my word on it, I thought it looked pretty solid.
Hindsight's 2020. You know what I mean? I can't backtrack now just because the result, goes against what I wanted. I still credit for PlayStation for jumping ahead and trying to get something pop culture. And we did admit that, look, we associated KOTOR with Xbox, you know what I'm saying, initially, right? That's where the association was. This is what I will say. I think, yeah, they definitely dodged a bullet in the sense of, okay, they didn't according to you, right? We know they were in the bidding, so to speak, at one point, but then they allowed themselves to be outbid. Yep. And what it shows me is this. I'm seeing a trend that Microsoft is not willing to go the extra mile for these superhero / pop culture games. They're not. There's something internally. It almost reminds me of Sony last gen with multiplayer. There's something internal that says, yo, you know what? We'll let third party do those type of games. And we won't make the financial commitment. Now, in this instance, they looking like superstars right now. They like, yo, see, you know what I'm saying? This is why you don't do it, you know. And in their credit, even though I don't want to give them credit for this because I still want them to do these type of games, is that we don't know the cost involved. We sit here and talk about other people's money. Like, yo, they should have been, yo, you should have broke the bank. And I don't know. So what if they have the residuals, the analytics, and they say, look, we spend this much for the license, we spend this much, and then you got to have the right studio to make the game. That's the other thing, right? So, you know, we see what happened with Insomniac, you know, even though they could have had Insomniac and kept them, but that's another story. We ain't going to go into that because that's going to get me upset, and I'm going to leave that one alone. Shout out to Sunset Overdrive. But yeah, it just, as much as I hate the philosophy, they seem hell-bent to say we are not going to pay for these genres, overpay for these genres. And that's it. We're going to talk about the next superhero game that was announced, and we'll get into it. But that's where I'm at with this whole thing, man. So I was curious with you because you felt extremely strong about this. I remember when this news came out, and I was like, yo, he got a point. You know, started on Xbox Associate. How did you get a bid? How is it exclusive? Like, you know, so now that the dust has settled,
as much as it could,
as much as it could,
I'm still processing things.
I guess the last part, Matty, that got me was just like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, they presented this to Disney and Sony and got thrown out the room. Like how do you mess up? I'm confused because part of me is like, it's like Mass Effect, like the core is already great. Like how?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's so fascinating about it is what I saw looked true to KOTOR. You know, it looked just like KOTOR, but prettier and, you know, more action oriented. And I don't know if they saw that and said, no, we want a 1-to-1. It looked as 1-to-1 as I could imagine, but you know, look, this is my favorite game of all time. Like if I saw something fucking wrong with it, I would have been the first to say something. Obviously, it didn't seem much in motion, but you know, to me, the only thing I can guess is they were looking for something, and the team internally was looking for another thing. There was no meeting in the middle on what that would be. They made a thing, they showed it, and this is a demo, right? They said a vertical slice. So what they saw, maybe they took too much time on, like maybe they said like, here's a brief demo and we're still working on things. They're like, you're only this far along and you spent this long on, let's just say it's a hypothetical. You spent this long on Terrace. You got to look at, you know, part of the complexity of these remakes is when they were made on older platforms, you know, the amount you could stretch your assets, it went really far. And so you could have in the same game, Korriban, Manan, Dantooine, Tatooine, Endar Spire, so on and so forth, right? You had a ton of places to go, where now, when you got to do it in high fidelity, it's a remake, you got to show out AAA action.
And Final Fantasy, right? It took how long it took to get out Midgar.
Just Midgar, exactly, right? These asset kits, they're being stretched further and further. And I would put my money on it that they're like only done with a planet maybe or something like that. And they're just like, dude, I reported this. They were shooting for the end of this year. Then they told me that they were feeling the beginning of 2023. This was then corroborated by Jason's report afterwards. So you can check the notes, check the tapes. Again, they were looking for that early 2023 release window. So they felt something entirely different. If they felt like they could release it then, they must be further along than we realize. It's just that what they showed now needs to be overhauled. Now they're saying, according to Jason's report, Aspire may be off the project and that it might be Saber Interactive. And this is interesting because Saber is a very competent developer, but Aspire had the passion.
Yeah.
And they seem to understand not to tamper with things. And I'm just worried that what they saw, they might be asking for more changes. And I don't know. I know they were adding new content. That was something they were going to do. But the main heart of the story, what was there, was not being changed. So to me, what was the problem? I can't wrap my head around that necessarily. And I find it deeply concerning because now it's possible it's going to be canceled. Like there's a difference between delay and project on hold, where they have now, according to the report, Aspire has started to look at other projects to work on. that means like you are off for we don't know until when. And that is about as heartbreaking as it can get. Because for me, I'm just like, I'm gonna get in my feels like, bro, it's not just a delay. It's not like we'll see you in 2024 or something. We need some more time. It's I don't know if we're gonna do this. I don't know if this will see the light of day. And that this thing might be cursed if that happens because they tried to get a KOTOR remake out from BioWare Austin, and that got put into stasis.
Yeah. Right.
And now they're doing one here, put into stasis. I don't know, man. It's deeply disappointing, but I can't to wrap it around to a lot of questions we've been getting from the audience. I'm not going to 2020 hindsight and say like Xbox so smart now for opting out of that. That's legacy. Who the hell knows if Xbox saw it? Again, that legacy could have helped if they saw it and it was very similar to what they had made back in 2003. They could have been like, perfect, great, keep going. This will come out at the end of 2022. I don't know, but again. They were planning for a gameplay reveal this summer.
Wow.
They were planning for a gameplay reveal this summer. This is not my own reporting, by the way. This is like publicly available. Like Embracer was talking about it, saying like, we'll be showing gameplay for this game in the coming months. I'm guessing that's off the table now.
Yeah.
And, that again really sucks because like, while I saw very early renditions of this game that I was able to confirm were real, I did not see the complete version. And I wanted to lay my eyes on that, man. I really did. But there have been a lot of concerns with Aspyr. I can't sit here and ignore it. I may be a fan of their work, but there was a lot of concerns with Port Studio now handling their first AAA project. There was worries of like certain writers tampering with the lore, tampering with characters. There's a lot of concerns around this. So maybe it's for the best long term that we don't have Aspyr on it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, we got to see. I mean, you pretty much said all the points I wanted to say. And it just now, my only thing is just making sure this doesn't turn into a cancellation thing, because that would suck. And then we really going to get your heel turn. Because I'm like, they coming for my boy's baby. Like, this is crazy.
At least Mega Man Battle Network is coming back, There's that.
You gotta, it's too soon. It's too soon.
I got to hold on to something, right? Like, maybe they'll remaster Fallout this year. I'm not going to let that dream die.
I feel you. I hope so too, man.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what's going on with KOTOR remake. Just wanted to talk about it. Number 3, Brick House Arsh. What's up, Dukes? I've long been in the same mindset of the Dukes. Health is wealth mantra. Going to the gym is routine for me, and I love knowing when I play at night, I have earned it. However, going regularly to the gym, you see all kinds of strange outfits. Yesterday at the gym, I witnessed something I never thought I would see. To my dismay, someone was wearing Crocs during their workout. Couldn't help but laugh because of all the Croc drama going on recently. Cog, how would you react to this? Would the Dukes wear Crocs to the gym? I think they give the feet some breathability, but other than that, I don't see any benefits to them. Thanks. I've seen this before as well. I've seen some wild stuff at the gym. I've seen people take off their shoes. That's a common thing. That's a common thing at my gym. No shoes, walking around in socks.
I seen that with the what is it? The webby feet ones.
No, these guys are walking around like Nikes, like just
for real, like
normal socks.
The drop fits and the tube socks.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's different.
I know, right? I'm like, dude, my thought process is, what if someone drops a weight? I know, like, if you're dropping a 20-pound weight on my foot, whether I'm wearing a shoe or not, it's probably still going to hurt a lot. But at least when I have the shoe on, take some of that impact away, right?
Yeah. Like, what exercise are they doing in the socks, though? I need to know this.
This is typically towards the dumbbell rack is where I see it, like upper body. And I'm
really?
Like, yeah. There's something to it that I remember reading. I think it's like you connect more with the ground. You feel more connected with the ground, and therefore you're getting, not like it's actually a factual thing, but people feel that way. So they're like getting better reps in. I don't know.
Yeah, God bless. But yeah, luckily, no Crocs have blessed my gym. So, I don't get a chance to see that wayward behavior, but I don't see the benefit. But look, Croc users always say they're the most comfortable, whatever. Look, what you going to use them on a deadlift? I don't know. I don't know what's the scenario where you feel that this is a go. But hey, to each his own, man. Just ain't catching them atrocities on my feet. But salute to y'all that's out there doing this. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of pairs at my gym, and what annoys me is it's never like a muted color. It's always like, pay attention to me. It's a bright white, a bright yellow. I'm like, I see you. Congrats. You're wearing Crocs at the gym. Look, I get it because I get pretty loud at the gym. To some extent, I can't talk. Like, I'll wear. Look up justsaying.com. Hold on, I'll send you a link.
Send me the link.
I'll wear stuff from this site at the gym. And I mean, their gear gets, it gets pretty loud. I'll be honest. Like I'll wear the whole on Bardock outfit. But like I won't wear the pants
this
usually.
Is cool though. Like I see this is acceptable because listen, I see grown men with this reminds me of like when you see the grown men with the Under Armour with the Superman logos and the Flash logo. I see powerlift. I see the big boys wearing that. Like that's geek culture. That's cool. But you know what I'm saying? And again, anime stuff. I've seen dudes with Dragon Ball. Like, but the Crocs though?
Yeah.
Like, come on. But this is cool. Like this is
it's dry fits of your favorite anime characters. But I can't get better than this. I love
exactly. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is cool. I didn't even know about this site. That's what's up.
Yeah. If you get into Attack on Titan, they do have Attack on Titan apparel.
Wait a minute. That looked like a Tekken logo.
Maybe they have that. I don't know. In the meantime, we'll move on to number 4 from Mexican Zoidberg. Greetings, cultured legend of heroes, enjoyer, and the other guy. That is just disrespectful, man. I didn't even see that one. Something I have noticed is that Xbox is lacking in what I call high-impact exclusives. There are exclusives, and then there are high-impact exclusives. Games like God of War, Spider-Man, Breath of the Wild, etc. These are games that are 20-plus million sellers that have people talking for years. Stuff like Psychonauts 2 and Forza are no doubt high quality, but they weren't high impact. They didn't leave their mark on the industry and just kind of frizzled out of people's minds. Will Starfield be that game or possibly something else? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Cog, would you say Forza was not high impact?
Nah, I wouldn't
Much
say
to the chagrin of our racing brethren, would you say it's not high impact?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Like that's blasphemous. Shout out to Mexicans as well, but I know I'm a cool dude. Pre-chat. Here's the thing, and we talked about it before with this hardcore versus what's actually going on in the industry. And I know people don't want to hear this. First of all, I do agree, Mexicans, but yes, if you look at Game Pass or whatever objectively or whatever, first party objectively, they're lacking that AAA, what the kids call a banger, right? The AAA banger that's, this high production value most of the time stuff. Since like what you say, the last one was probably like Gears in that sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
maybe Halo, like Halo Infinite, depending on how you want.
I mean, obviously Halo Infinite, of course. So you got that, but my thing is like, remember I told you the rules of the game for the hardcore is it has to be new, right? It has to be like a new IP, something outside. They don't consider Halo, Gears, or Forza part of that, right? And it's not accurate. I'm just going by what their metric is, right? So now it comes down to, okay, moving the bar. The problem is, we just finished talking about, even though it's not exclusive, we just finished talking about Power Wash Simulator and what it's doing, right? So we're talking about that. The business guys are like, yo, look at these numbers though. You know what I'm saying? Look at these numbers of these games that y'all don't like, quote unquote hardcore, Grounded or Sea of Thieves or whatever. They're looking at that and they're like, yo, these are getting us engagement and this is doing way better than let's be honest, even Sony themselves said, yo, the 10 million kind of soft for Last of Us on there. So we got to be careful with just overrating the games that we like, right? Because outside of, let's be honest, Elden Ring is the game that you like, yo, that's kind of that banger and that transcended. Like that did something absolutely outstanding from a sales perspective that can be, noted in the industry. And my last point I'll say is I look back at that showcase and I keep thinking about what you said. It may be a showcase that when we're all said and done, if you look at the games and the engagement and what actually happened when these games release, and you know, wow, these actually did very well from them in these next couple of quarters, whatever. But in the short term, to Mexicans, yes, that game is kind of void right now. And they're hoping to fill that with the Starfields, the Hellblaze, the Avoweds, and all that stuff. And they'll come. But don't underestimate what's out now and act like that doesn't have any impact. That's what I just want us to be careful of.
Yeah, it's a battle of numbers. I will say, I think we do undersell Halo Infinite a bit. I think it's really important to recognize that was an industry stopper. It was not long-term. That was the bigger problem here. It's that it fell off really hard. But we're talking about a game that hit 20 million players pretty quickly. That was the talk of the town. It completely absorbed the holiday conversation. There was a lot of hype around it, a lot of conversation around it. This was a high-impact launch. It just was not a high-impact long-term investment.
Well said.
That's the difference here. Again, I get what you're saying though. Is it God of War where it's like the marquee game of the gen, Spider-Man, which is like one of my favorite PlayStation exclusives? Is it Breath of the Wild, like an industry stopping type of release? It depends who you really ask. Because again, I think with we'll talk about Halo again in a negative way this show, by the way, later on. So just prepare yourselves for that. I think because this road has been so long and arduous, it's easy to forget in that couple months window and also the stretch leading up to it, while there was a lot of uncertainty, and you and I were really beating the drum, like, show us campaign, show us what's going on here. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to forget that. But when the game started showing out and it was looking good and the message, the vibe was like, it's ready to go, we're releasing early because we're that ready. When that was being delivered to us, this was a takeover moment for Xbox.
Yes.
And that Forza, they were dominating that holiday window. They were the talk of the town. And then you follow that up with an acquisition from Activision Blizzard. You're looking good. So yeah, they were definitely high impact. I think it's just the long term, the conversation afterwards, like the conversation after God of War, after Spider-Man, after Breath of the Wild, was very much like, wow, this shaped the industry. This was more like a splash in the pool, and they got out real quick.
Yeah,
I think that was the difference here with Halo Infinite. So I just, I get what you're saying, Mexican Zoidberg. I think you're on the money for the most part, but I do think Xbox does have a lot of their games undersold, and they also track things differently. PlayStation, as we talked about with The Last of Us, tracks sales. Xbox tracks player numbers. By default, it will never be comparable, because if Xbox Game Pass grows enough and they have a big enough release, they will dwarf PlayStation at a certain point if we're just looking at player count. With that, will Starfield be that game? He also asked.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. People talking all that. When that thing drop, you'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Unless something extremely concerning happens between now and then. But I don't even think the delay was enough to take the wind out of its sails. It was just like the deflation of, we're not going to get it soon. But when people saw it, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. There's a lot of interest in it.
Yeah.
All right. With that, it's time for the news. Number 1. Ubisoft has been the subject of much ire in our industry due to their consistent mismanagement, and it appears that the pattern is continuing on. For starters, they have canceled 4 separate games, those being Splinter Cell VR and Ghost Recon Frontline, which was a battle royale game, as well as 2 games that were never publicly revealed. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora has also been delayed to at least April of 2023, alongside another smaller premium game, according to the publisher. That smaller premium game comes from a series we're all familiar with. Assassin's Creed has had a set of leaks unto its own, and with how many that there are seemingly in development, we wouldn't blame you if the code names have started to cause some confusion. At the top of the order is an Assassin's Creed game set in Baghdad, which is codenamed Rift. This is a game that began as an expansion to Assassin's Creed Valhalla until expanding beyond that. It is said that this one has a tighter scope compared to the more expansive AC games we've experienced as of late. Bloomberg is saying this game is slated to release around May or June of next year, in what is undoubtedly another big game to add to the list of releases throughout the first half of 2023. Reports suggest that the announcement will arrive sometime in September. There's also Project Red. This is a part of Assassin's Creed Infinity, a platform that will host multiple Assassin's Creed games itself. Project Red has had multiple reports surrounding it. Kotaku had the word on its initial existence, whereas Bloomberg's Jason Schreier firmed up that this was a part of Infinity rather than a separate game, and that it could be set in Asia. Meanwhile, Jeff Grubb narrowed down that setting further by saying that Japan could be where the game is located. Then, last but not least, Tom Henderson added fuel to the fire by reporting that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still very much alive and is undergoing play testing. Ladies writes in, "Hello, Dukes. What in the world is going on at Ubisoft? They just had their earnings call where they reported that revenue was down, they canceled 4 games, and they delayed Avatar by a whole year. I'm looking forward to some of their games down the line, like the linear, more stealth-focused Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Baghdad, which was also delayed internally, according to insiders. But having only Sparks and Hope and Skull and Bones for 2022 reeks of some extreme mismanagement. Do you guys think Ubisoft will be able to turn this ship around, or are they fated to be the next big acquisition by Microsoft or maybe someone else?" Lord Acquisitionitis. I feel like the writing's on the wall here. This is how you doing? You're down a little bit. Come on around. Cog, I'd like to know your read on the situation here with Ubisoft, as I think things are coming to a boil.
Yeah, we talked about this with Sav on Ultimate, and Ubisoft was the point of discussion. He thinks that they're getting ripe for acquisition. I was surprised the audience though. As Lord Acquisition, the Duke of I'm not interested in Ubisoft.
Oh, I'm not.
I'm,
Yeah, no.
I'm not. I'm not.
You already got one mess to clean up.
Yeah, like it's just look, they just not what they once were to me. I just don't. Yes, the Assassin's Creed franchise is huge. I'm not going to minimize that. They go to the well a lot. And yeah, to bag that thing sounds cool. We'll see that. Like, but I hear a series of games of Assassin's Creed games. I just thought it just rubs me wrong. I don't know why. It just rubs me like I need to be wary of the quality of your output. I got to be wary now. Like you're assembly lining things, and to me, how much innovation are we truly going to get? Now, granted, I could say all this they do at Assassin's Creed Japan. Your boy might be back in. You know what I'm saying? I'm biased towards Japan. Clearly, that's why Ghost of Tsushima to me, really resonated. That's something I thought they would do, and it just had a great story and these amazing dual fights, and I can rave on about Ghost of Tsushima, but we're not going to say Ghost of Tsushima is a Ubisoft clone. We're not going to do that because I see that rhetoric going a lot of slander. We're not going to do that. But anyway, as far as this, like, I just don't think they're popping no more, right? Like, at least with Bethesda, you like, yo, you own the Elder Scrolls. You own, Fallout as a franchise. Like, you got hitters, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at even Activision, bro, you own Call of Duty. Hate it or love it. That's Call of Duty, Warzone, Overwatch, Diablo. What are we screaming from Ubisoft? like what are we like? Everything that was either hot has faded. The thing that's probably hot, I don't care about. What is it? Dance Dance?
Oh, the disrespect. The
Like that's
DDR.
popping for them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's pop, whatever that, it's they dance games be popping, I guess. It sells well.
Yeah.
Mario Rabbids, but we considering it like, yo. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like,
I think you'd really like it.
no, I love Mario Rabbids.
Yeah.
I do. I
Oh, you
played it.
play?
I
Oh,
played,
okay.
oh yeah, I love Mario Rabbids is fire
Yeah.
for me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But it's like if I'm looking at it from the Microsoft
Oh, you're a
standpoint, like
businessman. Yeah.
I'm business card, corporate card. Like I don't. You could get throw you in Game Pass like an EA deal. Like you're not the guys anymore to me. I look at y'all like at one point y'all were the guys, y'all were this, then y'all canceling stuff. But to Sav's point, I hate to say, like that's the kind of stuff that leads to an acquisition when they keep there. I just hope Microsoft sit there because you know why? And I said it on Ultimate. They outside of Assassin's Creed, they're kind of redundant. They don't offer enough unique things to me to give Microsoft that interest. You know what I'm saying? Activision Blizzard King gives you the mobile. They gives you these other things. Like everybody, Bethesda makes you the king of Western RPG. We screaming for Division and Ghost Recon. Like, what, you know what I mean? I mean, it fits live service, but they just doing this to me. So that's just where I'm at. I hope this is one time Lord Acquisition is like, yo, stay away from them dudes.
More
Like,
acquisition staying out of this war.
Yeah, nah, y'all got to come back with something hot.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like this is one you want to steer clear of. Again, you already got one mess you're cleaning up with Activision, but I think the IP are much more attractive there. I also think the talent and the creativity in the studios was just burdened by the likes of Call of Duty, and when you can free them, it'll make your ecosystem much more robust. So I think there's a lot of gain in cleaning up something like Activision. I think the same could apply to Ubisoft. I just don't think it's as extreme. I think like if you clean up Activision, you get something like Raven Software. You get something like Beanox. What are they like when they're free, right? These are talented studios that have managed their own games, released their own games, good games at that. Some of them excellent games. Whereas Ubisoft's had 1,000,001 divisions. You're inheriting thousands upon thousands of employees. I think it's just too much to clean up, especially when you're working on Activision. I don't think the gain is high enough where you're right. I don't want to undersell Assassin's Creed. Like for all this, the critiques that Valhalla gets, this was an extremely it was a great selling game. One of the fastest selling Assassin's Creed games. So it's important to keep that in mind. But at the same time, I think for Xbox, when they're looking for what seems to be a lot of diversity in their library, I feel Ubisoft goes kind of against that because you see one Ubisoft template, it's the same across 4 series. What you see in Assassin's Creed is the same as Watch Dogs, is the same as Immortals Phoenix Rising, is the same as Ghost Recon. They're just, and Far Cry, sorry, five game series, all following the same template. They're a very safe developer, and it's now dug them their own grave. So we'll see how they maneuver this. I think they need to embrace more games like Mario and Rabbids. I know that may not be the high profit play, if you will, but that's what got them to be such an attractive company, was doing things like Beyond Good and Evil 1, doing things like Batman Vengeance, doing things like the first Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, which were very different in their first initial entries. So now to see them canceling 4 games, to know they're working on a Star Wars game, the Star Wars curse lives on, to know they're working on an Avatar game. I didn't have high interest in the Avatar game in the first place, but yeah, Ubisoft is definitely, like, I think, soured for a lot of people over the years, and it's kind of come to a head where like, I remember when they announced Frontiers of Pandora, I was like, oh, okay. And they were kind of treating it as like the one more thing big deal, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. How do you feel about Assassin's Creed and its future, though? I find this very interesting. You know, they're working on a smaller premium game, a tighter AC Rift game is what they're calling it. Baghdad is where it's set. And then they're working on Infinity, which is this platform that will host multiple AC games. It seems like one of the first ones will be Project Red, which is a AC game set in Japan. How are you feeling about the future of this franchise?
I like the Baghdad one, because it seemed like it's going to align with more what I want from them, which is more of a tighter, concise experience. And I want more narrative driven stuff from them. Not saying that their narratives are not they're non-existent, but again, I just have Ubisoft fatigue. I just have the 1,100 hour, plus hour thing romp, and I want to know what they do with a title experience. So I that part does the Baghdad, and it's a unique, location. I'm like, you know what, I'll keep my eye out. You know what I'm saying? But it was one of those things where I remember when I heard about Valhalla, I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Viking, okay, cool. And then you see the commitment. I'm just like, bro, I cannot with this level of, people still playing this game. And I'm like, man, it's like that. I can't. It just not always. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes you don't have to hit a stat sheet and hit a checkbox, hours and this and that. It just feels like they get into this pattern, and the same thing with the UIs. And, let's climb up to the top and let's open the map up, and it's just the samey. They gotta mix it up. And then now you're hearing about what Division Battle Royale, and it's just they're in this weird place. And look, they canceling games. And some of those games they canceling. Here's the other thing: are kind of wave chasers in a sense, like. Even though Ghost Recon, like the hardcore whatnot, want that type of game, it didn't look as bad. But I thought that would be something they would overcommit to, because they want to get in on that craze, right? They want their war zone. They want to so. To me, it's very concerning when I see them cancel the games that's supposed to be like those type of live servicey ones. So I don't know what's going on over there. And last point I will say is another reason why we talk about Activision's infrastructure, like their infrastructure is is not all nicely packed either. It's very extensive, and they've had issues in the past too, right? It's a lot to take with them.
Yeah, I'm very keen on this new Assassin's Creed game set in Baghdad, because it sounds like a kind of going back to the beginning of things, right? Because the first game was set in the Middle East. So I feel like that could be a nice return to form, a tighter game, kind of maybe them being able to see, like, this is what we're looking for, not this big expansive project, but something a little more slimmed down. I think the bloat has really also hurt Ubisoft as time is dwindling, and there is many more exciting options becoming more and more available to us, and the accessibility bar is lowering with the likes of Game Pass. You can opt out of a game like Assassin's Creed very easily and still find a big open world game somewhere else. So I'm very keen on learning more about AC Rift. However, I know they're hitting the panic button because they're going to do AC in Japan. That to me is the panic button move, because I remember Carrick and I talked about this for years, and he had said, he had on good authority, that when Assassin's Creed would go to Japan is when they were like feeling the heat, feeling the pressure. And post Ghost of Tsushima, post all this terrible shit happening in their studio, there's never been a better time than to answer everyone's wishes of bringing Assassin's Creed to the place it should have gone in like entry number 3 or 4. Like,
Jesus.
it's been long overdue, but the issue is I think they waited too long, because while
Me
Ghost
too.
of Tsushima is not just a Ubisoft style game with the Japanese setting, it takes a lot of the Ubisoft formula and overhauls it. And then it's set in
Mm-hmm.
Japan. And that's what we were looking for from Ubisoft, but someone else answered the bell. And I don't think I'm really itching for what Ubisoft could deliver now. That's the problem. And it's going to be a part of a live service package now. Now you're asking for trouble. The thing you've been asking for is a part of this other product that doesn't really fit the vibe of the series. Dangerous territory indeed. And then the last thing I wanted to get your thoughts on is Beyond Good and Evil 2 being alive. This is a little bit surprising. Tom Henderson seemingly been on the money as of lately, so I believe what he's saying here. How do you feel about this game that was feel to be canceled? It's hanging around. It's being play tested.
Yeah, I didn't know about this. So shout out to Tom. Like, yeah, that's a good sign. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see that one coming at all. I thought that one was DOA. So,
Yeah.
To hear it talked about, I'm like, all right, promising. They're trying to figure things out. I think they're still in this, transition period where they try to figure out what they want to be, what they want to do. And if they don't figure out, they're going to get acquired. That's that they might get out the game. So we'll see.
Indeed. With that, let's move on to number 2, Cog. I'm really excited to get your thoughts on this one. Black Panther game is in development, according to Jeff Grubb on his show Game Mess Mornings. The title is in early development at a new studio in Seattle headed up by EA. The studio was founded by former Monolith Productions VP, who oversaw Middle-earth, Shadow of War, and Shadow of Mordor. Jeff states that this game will be an open-world single-player title beginning with the death of Black Panther as you vie to become the next one. Dylan writes in, "Hello, fellas. So, Jeff Grubb has reported that a new studio under EA is working on a Black Panther game. I know people groan at EA, but to me, if the studio is passionate behind the game, you'll hopefully get an experience like Fallen Order. To me, open-world games are very hit or miss, but an open-world game set in Wakanda, sign me up. What are your expectations and what do you hope to see? By the way, that's another pop culture game Xbox isn't sadly working on. Matty, I hope you're doing better and y'all have an A1 day." Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate that. Cog,
Absolutely.
I want to take it to you, man. I got to know how you're feeling about Black Panther getting his own open world single player video game, because you went to War for Wakanda, right? For the Avengers expansion. You were interested in that one. You liked it. So now you know my man's getting his whole ass game. What's the feel?
Yeah, like it. I'm not as negative as everybody else is. To me, I look at it 2 reasons. One, it's a big deal that EA, because this is early. This thing's just pitched. It seemed we're early, right? So to me, it's a big deal that EA said yes, go on with that single player game, right? Because we know the trends, we know what was going on prior, and I got to shout out my boys, Vince and the crew. Listen, man, like, Vince is doing a tremendous job over there because he's getting the higher ups to understand when you have a situation like Jedi Fallen Order and the success, and they see they didn't have to catch a wave, they didn't have to, live service it, and they didn't have to do all this other stuff. Just tell a tight, concise story, narrative based, single play. You can still win. And I think that has given them confidence to kind of take more chances. And let's give EA some credit here. Our man is over there. What's his name? Joseph. What is it?
Why am I forgetting his name as well?
Joseph Fares, I think. It takes 2. He had Way Out, and granted, those are co-op games, but they're still narrative based games. You ain't seeing no microtransactions and all this type of stuff in there. So I'm seeing a turning of the leaf since Vince has been elevated. I'm not saying everything is all on Vince's credit, but I think I will say the success of a Jedi Fallen Order sets off a chain of events. And I think they've started to realize, we've got to show these type of games as well. So I'm not worried about it too much. I know there was also some controversy about, okay, you're going to be the next Black Panther, kind of going in line with what's going on right now with the movies, Wakanda Forever, Black Panther's gone, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. But like, I don't look at it that way. I don't think there's going to be, listen, I know what the fear is. I got to say this to my people. I know what the fear is. Do not think that you're going to get to come in there and make some Skyrim level creator and you going to come in there with the white Black Panther. I'm just like, that's not, come on. What they're saying is it's basically a story, most likely, where the player most likely is going to be African American, to try to take on the mantle of Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make it racial, but I saw my people, they were
No,
pushing
I
me.
think it's worth
What do you
it,
mean?
man.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's worth a discussion. And I think they're going to honor it in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the rumors that we hear about the movie. You know, maybe sure he gets it, but maybe long term, T'Challa has a son, and then down the road, and there's ways they can do it. But I think by the time this comes out, you know what I mean? It might align
Mm.
with what Marvel is doing. But yeah, I love it. I think, to Dylan's point, I found it funny that both PlayStation and Xbox fans, the first thing when they saw this announcement was to see if it was exclusive to a platform. I thought that was fun. I saw people not care about the announcement first about what platform it's going to be on, and I see people low key like grumbling that it's multiplayer. And in this case, it's like no one's going to miss out.
Mm.
Everybody's good. You're going to get your Black Man. But I find it funny. People say, yo, what platform? Who got it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Xbox ain't got it. PlayStation got it.
Mm-hmm. I guess Xbox might have the better chance just with their EA with relationship with EA, but that's if Lord Acquisition steps in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Is there really any game that's been more impactful in recent memory to a company than Jedi Fallen Order with EA? You got to think about like not only the ripple effect where they're pursuing a single player game like this, but you look at what happened across, given Respawn, the Reigns, BioWare, kind of changing up their focus, stripping out the live service element from the new Dragon Age game. Like they really saw something with Jedi Fallen Order, something really convincing that made them say, like, we're not just going to commit on Respawn and let them do it. We're going to let our whole plethora of studios go in on this. And I think that's really important to note because, I mean, it's not a game I would associate with EA typically, but I think, when EA is a good publisher when they do this. Hands up, back away, pockets are full though. Take my money, please.
Yes.
When they're that type of publisher, they're not that bad. I don't know what else to say. When they're all in though, and they're putting their hands on things and they're really messing with the creative process, I don't know. I think sometimes they get scapegoated easily because it's a very easy deflection point from the real conversation. I'm talking about Anthem. When you're given 7 years, that's not always an EA problem. That is 100% a BioWare problem. That is 100% a studio management problem. Not to say EA wasn't a part of the problem, but again, I always go back to that. So like EA isn't always this like, get it out now. I mean, they kind of like force the day one DLC in Mass Effect 3. Don't get me wrong. They're not perfect, but I think if they're hands off and they're just providing funds, we can get a good publisher out of them. If they continue to provide these experiences, sorry to interrupt, but if they get these, I can't say that seriously now, by the way, because that LSM edit with the interruptions. That was super. He did that perfectly. I messaged him. I was like, dude, how the hell did you put that together? So good. But what I was saying is, if they're going to give us more experiences like Jedi Fallen Order, I am all for that. Give me more of that. But please continue with what you were going to say before I interrupted.
No, Lockball gonna catch us again. But yeah, like I'm with you. I think it's the Respawn effect, bro. I just listen. When it comes to my studio, I know how I feel about Obsidian. Respawn, man, that's in my top 3. Like that. When it comes to devs, I think it's the effect that he's turned things around. So my beloved Titanfall, and much as I'm not an Apex, everything they touch is gold. So you've got to align with that. And I think it's given EA the confidence to say, you know what, just like you said, we can step back. He's got it. He's got a track record now underneath the house. And I think you see a better EA as a result. Are they perfect? No. They still do dumb stuff? Yes. But this single player stuff, I love it. And I'm not too worried about. And listen, I forgot even ex-Monolith developers, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's a nice little resume. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Nemesis System is going to be in Black Panther, but like, yo.
They can't because of the legality of it. With the
True. Yeah. But I just like, because them Shadow and Mortal joint, they were nice. They were decent.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like where this is going.
That's why I'm very excited for the Wonder Woman game. On just like a side note, just no Monolith's behind it. I
forgot about that.
I know Shadow of War, many years later, is a redeemable game, but I know at launch it was a lot of microtransactions and bullshit to fight through. So hopefully they don't stumble upon that again with Wonder Woman. But as a developer, I think they're really good. And I was actually playing Shadow of War with my brother about 2 weeks ago, just checking it out for the first time, and I was actually impressed with that game. I do want to give it a full run through.
Yeah, very good game.
All right, let's move on to number 3. We're going to talk about Halo Infinite a little bit. As promised, this is not going to be a positive conversation, but all right, it's not going to be super positive. We do have some cool stuff to get into. First is a leak for Forge. So pretty much all over online, the content is spilling for the Forge. You can combine weapon abilities, so you can like shoot a rocket launcher out of an assault rifle. You can, for example, scale any objects you want. So they scale a Master Chief into an incredibly large size. There's tons of combinations that you can do, tons of customization. It looks really good. And Cog, I'm wondering if you had a chance to check this out.
Shout out to my boy, Gaming Addict, Lord Addict, hit me up immediately like, yo, Cog, did you see it? I'm like, what? And he's like, yo, 343. It's funny how it leaked, though. It was like if you're part of that inside program, they're using the same build, so you can just run in there and go check it out. Look, I give credit. It looks absolutely impressive. It looks like this. That people are going to have so much fun in there. They're going to create so much. But it just gets me to say, could you imagine if that was there at launch? Could you imagine what it would be if it was at launch?
Real quick, let me just stitch this right in and go off. Hayden Glass writes, how's it hanging, Too Tall Matty and Clever Cog? With all these leaks of Halo Infinite's Forge, I was wondering if you have seen them. Does this make you excited or, like me, even more disappointed that we didn't get a finished product? Frankly, I love what I've seen, but I don't like praising 343 for slowly churning this out when the game should have just been delayed again. Thanks for the content, Matty. I hope your back is better. Sincerely yours from Alabama. Thank you, Hayden. Appreciate you. Cog, continue on. You were about to pop off.
Yeah, just, here we are again. And it just, I'm tired of beating them up. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, they got to keep getting it. It's like, look, obviously they didn't want this to leak, clearly, right? But now that we see it, and you see how robust it is, and from all things I hear, get ready to be impressed. Everything I've heard,
the Raygun report is in. Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, look, it's just, I'm at the point right now where it's like, you know how you have a bad child, and it's just like, I don't want to hear that you're doing better, that you're going to change it around. I want to see the next market period what the grades are. When is this releasing? Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of, Daddy, I'm going to change, and I'm doing it the right way. And then look. Yeah. That's cool. Tell me when it's out, and then I'm going to listen to you. Right now, there's really nothing you going to say until you tell me release dates, when it's out. And I'm not blasting them because clearly this was a leak, right? They didn't say, whatever, get excited. But look, it looks good. I'm not giving them no flowers, though. It's like, we still where we at. I'm not happy with you. You know what I'm saying? Get it out and tell us when it's coming, and have a good, robust amount of content ready so that maybe you get your co-op and you coincide a bunch of things at the same time. I want to see the turn on, the true commitment that you are back. Until then, this is cute. Let me know when the report card comes.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. It does look good. It looks a little bit encouraging. We've heard great things about Forge for a while. We even saw snow assets in there. So if they're really going to give us the tool sets to make campaign missions and really go all out with it, that's what this game desperately needs for it to really take off. I think as soon as Forge arrives, this game can kind of start to mark its turnaround, because then we can start doing what Halo does best, taking that community content, making it a part of the official product, making Forge playlists, all that good stuff. I think that will be a part of the rebound effect, because I do feel like Halo Infinite can rebound. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah,
it can rebound. It's just we need Forge desperately, because the pressure needs to be taken off the 343, who has their 3 pillars. They have their 3-pillar approach, and they're going to stick to it. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. But they're going to stick to it, and they need the community. They need them bad. It's like Bethesda just needing the mods and shipping a half-finished game. That's what's happening here. Think of, for my Bethesda Game Studios fans, Matches Skyrim's half done, and they don't have your mod support for this long. That's what you need, right? Give us the tools. We'll make it for you. We'll give people things to engage in. So once Forge arrives, I think things will be great. It does look awesome. It looks like we can have some fun with it, because someone literally inflated Master Chief in a T-pose.
Yeah.
This gargantuan size. So
it looked cool. And I heard the customizations, that the things you could do is so robust. I heard the tools are really good. So yeah, just see when it comes out.
We shall see. But what we're seeing now is our internet data being eaten up per match. Now, there has been a hot fix deployed according to the Halo support Twitter account where they write, the Halo Infinite team has deployed a back-end update that improves the amount of data downloaded after multiplayer matches. This update is now live and no download is needed. The team will continue to monitor this issue and work on additional improvements for August's drop pod. So, at first, they were just investigating it and saying, we'll see you at the next drop pod. Then they did a hot fix, and it seemed to improve things. For those who don't know what happened, Halo Infinite was downloading tons of data per match, what was resulting in about a gigabyte or more of data used per hour. And for those who had internet caps, this was catastrophic. And I don't know how in the world it had happened. We still don't know what happened, but people think it has to do with the theater mode and how it was like caching data. However, has yet to really be fully ironed out. COG, Halo Infinite, you're just trying to play some matches. Suddenly they say, storage full after a game of team deathmatch. What's your response?
It's that Halo Master Chief Collection energy, bro. It's like, why you all the time, bro? Like, why do we keep catching you in the bad spot? Like, oh man, I don't even know what to say. It's just comical, bro. It's so bad. It's comical. And again, they just stain the name of the other studio. That's how I just look at them. Every hiccup, every misstep, everything, when we say mismanagement and we say what is a shining example of what not to do and not how not to launch, right? They name keep coming up. I ain't making up this news. I'm not. Here it comes again. Right? You found a way to just blast people internet out the water. You just like, I don't understand. Bro. Like, help me help you. I'm trying to tie me to the PR team. Let me try to fix this thing because the image is bad out here, bro. Like it's laughable. Like, come on, you blowing people data caps, bro.
It's at the point I don't mean to just, like you said, I'm tired of beating them up. I really am. But now it's at the point where Xbox has the bad kid and the dad should be embarrassed of their son right now. They should be pretty embarrassed of how bad things have got. This is not like another, just pressure on the rug, man. You're blowing people's data caps with multiplayer matches. That's fucking insane. I've never heard of that. I remember seeing it. It was dropped in our server on LSM in the Defining Duke thread, and I literally said, how the fuck does this happen? How does this actually occur? I don't know. It feels like a cursed game, and it's another reason why I should have been put off. I feel like at this point, when we talk about it, we just run in circles because we've just gone through all the talking points. It's just like, here's what happened with Halo Infinite and its latest saga. We're looking forward to the comeback. We'll see you then. So
yeah, that's what I meant. That's literally what
all I could really throw into the conversation outside of that. So,
and in a positive note, despite all of this craziness and all
Let's hear it.
They could still come back. I've seen live service. They could still come back.
Yeah.
Just like I said, piece it all together. Talk when you're ready, right? Fix the core issues. That has to be expedited. Melee desync data like they did. Like you got to. You do that, fix the core, come with the meaty content drop, forge co-op and another mode, whatever. Show off the battle royale. Hopefully the battle royale hit. Show off if you're doing other modes. You could do it.
Is it too late for battle royale though? I don't know. I feel like
it's gonna be a while.
I feel like Halo's a good fit, but like by that, if it's gonna be a while, like even more of a reason it could miss. I don't.
Yeah, what I heard, don't expect any time. So that's the streets to say. So let's worry about the core issues in this.
Yes, let's focus on our drop pods.
Let's move on to drop pods. Yeah, that's what I'm at. 3 C's.
Number 4. On a more positive note, COG wearing the perfect shirt for the show. Star Wars Jedi Survivor has a Steam page now, and the PSN may have leaked a release window of March 2023, another first half of 2023 game. If everything holds up, COG, business decisions are incoming. But how are you feeling about the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? I think I know your answer, but I'm just giving you the stage here. Go off.
Super strong. I got my people over there. I can't wait. They're pumped. I'm excited. Like, look out. I'm trying to make some stuff happen too for Duke in reference to that. Because listen, I give Respawn a lot of love, yo. I give y'all a lot of love. So like, yo, we need to come on to Duke. Stop playing around. There's a lot that we could have these discussions, and stay tuned. I'm working on some things. I want to get.
This is the first I'm hearing this. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm working on some things. So the feedback was positive. So I'm like, it's time to give LSM community.
Okay.
Yeah,
love that.
Some love, yeah, for sure. But I'm hearing great things. They're super excited, super pumped.
Nice,
and it's good to see that game doing what it's doing. So I'm hyped when they announce that sequel.
Yeah, so am I. I can't wait to play this one. I still stand by the fact that Fallen Order was like the best Star Wars game to drop since probably KOTOR. Honestly, like it's just such a magnificent video game from top to bottom, really well made. Feels like this, just like Respawn's on one when like they're immune to the Star Wars curse. Like they got one out. It's a single player game.
Bro.
It delivers. It feels great. It's all you could ask for. Yeah, this is a wonderful game available in Game Pass. If you have yet to play it, give it a look. Extremely good.
Absolutely. Great addition.
Number 5, Cog, you sent this my way. Let's talk about it. Xbox's Q4 2022 earnings report is in. It has been reported hardware revenue fell 11% alongside a 6% drop in Xbox content and services revenue. Microsoft says the services decline is due to, quote, lower engagement hours and monetization, end quote, across both first and third-party titles. Overall gaming revenue at Microsoft declined 7% year over year. Here's what Xbox had to say on the matter. Quote, the decline you're seeing in Xbox hardware is partly a reflection of the fact that we had that launch about 2 years ago. So with the supply constraints that we had seen over the last couple of years, it was kind of extended out that period for consoles. We're still seeing strong demand, but coming off those highs that we saw in the last couple of years with the launch, end quote. Satya Nadella says Microsoft has, quote, been the market leader in North America for 3 quarters in a row among next-gen consoles, end quote. Xbox also had its best fiscal year ever in the terms of revenue at around $16.2 billion for the entire fiscal year. Microsoft's guidance for fiscal quarter 1, 2023, sees gaming revenue and Xbox content and services revenue both declining again next quarter, though. So, Cog, I gotta say, is this worth reacting to?
It's interesting. I think you got to pay attention.
The timing.
Sorry.
No, go on, please. I was just saying the timing, quite fascinating indeed.
Yeah, it is. It is quite fascinating.
Q4, huh?
Yeah, Q4. What did something happen in Q4, Matty? That from a first party standpoint and the Game Pass standpoint, that may have contributed. Maybe
it's possible. Possible.
Look. These are numbers I like to pay attention to, and trends and analytics, and just to see, like, is it, am I looking at this as doom and gloom? No, but it is something worth monitoring. And I look at it like this. I look at it like, okay, so they're saying, obviously, we got the decline on the gaming revenue. Microsoft up, Xbox a little down, right? A little softer, right? So, but then they're saying this was like their second best of that quarter overall in Xbox kind of history, right? Better than, other previous quarters. So this is how I look at it. And again, just from the outside looking, I'm not some super financial analyst. I think the vibe I'm getting from them is, okay, pandemic happened. You had all these people home buying consoles, playing games, engagements through the roof, yada, yada, yada. Now, not that the pandemic's over, but it's a little bit less. That has softened, and now they're not having that engagement. Then coupled with first party offerings, right? And what we saw in 2022. This is the key statement to me, though. When they expect a decline next quarter. Like they kind of get ahead of it, but to be offset by the key statement is Game Pass subscriptions, right? So to me, what I want to know, because they're very cagey with that number, right? They're very cagey. Last time we heard was it 25 million or whatever.
Yeah, acquisition of Activision.
Right. So if they expect it to be offset next quarter by Game Pass subscribers, I want to know what the number is. What's that number? And then now we lead into, again, this is why your boy was Lord Acquisition, because EA had no content. So now you're expecting Activision Blizzard Kingdom to get in there. Maybe that Diablo, maybe some other games come into, Game Pass, stuff like that. And they're expecting it to be offset. That's going to be the key. And then we're going to see 2023 with that year. But I'm not too surprised by this because of the year that they've had. You know what I'm saying? From a Game Pass perspective, from an offering perspective, right?
Mhm.
So it is something to watch. These are things, and I think me and Colin had that talk about, which is the short term effects. We can't negate that. Like, you don't have major, first party offerings for the year, you know, it's going to start to show. So it's going
Yes.
to be one of those situations where, like I said, short term you're going to pay the price, and then long term we'll see what happens. But it's very interesting. What do you get from these numbers? Does any of this stuff mean
I
anything?
think
Like, what do you?
to me, the part that stood out more, because obviously, like with delays and everything, you expect things to fall a little bit, right? But I think when they're expecting next quarter for things to go up a little bit, offset, if you will, I wonder if they're maybe feeling the deal will be done a little sooner and there might be an influx of subscribers to help balance things out using data from the Bethesda deal finalizing and how many subscribers they got from that because of the games that were added into that. I feel like based off what we're reading about Activision, it could be done this year and perhaps within the quarter, it could offset things. We'll see. That's my read, unless they have surprise announcements or they just have, as you mentioned, the number could have grown so much more since Activision's announcement. And to that point, has made it where it's just a consistent subscriber number that's gaining them a lot of revenue. Where even though they're not getting games, they're going to offset these things and it's all going to balance out. So to me, unsurprising stats on the dip side of things, that things are falling a little bit, not as catastrophic as I think some have made it out to be with delays and whatnot, but still to be expected, I would say. But I'm very
Right.
curious what happens next quarter.
Last point, I thought it was interesting that Satya said, that he made it a point to say that they were the market leader for 3 quarters
Yeah.
in North America. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, that's telling because let's be honest, the consensus is they don't have the games, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
well, if you don't have the games, but you're still leading the quarters, I thought that was interesting that they wanted to make that highlight that
Yeah.
point. So now let's see what happens if the deal closes, if they get the games that they think they're going to get and they supposedly have the year they think they're going to have. It's going to be interesting for 2023. I thought that was key. They make some key statements to kind of be like, yeah, but
Yeah.
kind of thing,
Yeah, true.
so we'll see.
Indeed. Number 6, final bit of news. Certain Affinity, the newly announced aid to Halo's multiplayer and reported developer of a Monster Hunter style Xbox exclusive, may have another game in production at their studio. It has been discovered on the company's job listings that Certain Affinity is working on an original IP first person shooter using Unreal Engine, as they're hiring both Unreal Engine 4 and 5 talent. So it is not known yet which iteration of the engine they are using. Cog, this is one that I'm very keen to learn more about Certain Affinity in the coming years. They're a very busy team. They're becoming deeply tied with Xbox. Now they're working on their own first-person shooter, and they're made up of a lot of talent that helps out with Halo and Doom and the like. So I feel like this is right in their wheelhouse. They want to make their own thing now. They're already doing that with seemingly a Monster Hunter style game. So they're flexing some creative muscles, right? In FPS, I imagine a Monster Hunter style game would be third person. So I want to know how you're feeling about Certain Affinity and their gradual buildup in the backdrop.
Keep an eye on them.
Mm.
Keep an eye on
See
them.
a little something in the future, perhaps.
Talking about nurturing and natural growth, like they've been in the mix for a while now, right? And I was very surprised to hear them prior with the rumored Halo Infinite Battle Royale, them taking the lead on that as opposed to 343 themselves. They've been in the mix. I like this marriage right here, like this little, they're doing a Monster Hunter game, which sounds cool because Monster Hunter fans, it'd be great if Xbox had a game like that built from, for themselves in that ilk. I think that's cool. Yeah, this is exciting. First person shooter using Unreal Engine, and this is kind of exciting to me. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So keep an eye out for that. I think if the relationship continues, and I forgot to mention this on Ultimate because we had a section being solved where we talked about like our big, what the targets could be, but what are some dark horses? And I forgot to mention Certain Affinity. I forgot they were right on tip of my tongue, but I forgot to throw them in. Keep an eye on them. I like what's going on there, and I don't know about you, but when I saw this, I was pretty pumped about it. The potential seems really cool.
Yeah, I'm more keen to see their Monster Hunter style game because I feel like that's addressing something Xbox doesn't have right now. I remember
Absolutely
there was
right.
in around like early 2010s, there was a race to find your own Monster Hunter, specifically with the PlayStation Vita, because the Vita had come out and everyone was going to the DS, and people were saying, well, the Vita just needs its own Monster Hunter game. And they did Soul Sacrifice, they did Freedom Wars, God Eater was on Vita. They did so many different ones. And Xbox never really had their own Monster Hunter style game. So it'll be very interesting to see when that game drops what that is like in a world that is possessed by Monster Hunter and
Love
only
it.
seems to grow in popularity. To me, then the follow up would be okay, let's see this first person shooter now. So I'm hoping the first game in line looks great. They seem to have already had a lot of experience co developing things. Hopefully, they're not cursed like Aspire. And once they move into that, let's make our own thing, they take that step that they're like, oh shit, this is too much for us. But I'm feeling okay about things right now, foolishly so. And I'm looking forward to learning more about their games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Monster Hunter thing is great. I'm all about filling up deficiency, so I'm with you.
Indeed. Time for our Game Pass back and pat pick of the week. I had it this time around. I want to start off with a write-in. Daniel Pressure. Hey, Dukes. Why is no one talking about the secret hidden gem on Game Pass for D&D players? And by the way, this was a console day one drop. The Game Pass pick of the month goes to Celeste Crown of the Magister. I believe it's made by a small 14-person team with cross-play between PC, and it even has a dungeon creator for all the DMs out there. I think you'll like it if you like D&D or Wasteland 3 co-op. P.S. Cog, I recently started to listen to ILP, and I'm loving King. How he's always outside has me dying. Indeed.
Yes. Throw that man on my life. He's the funniest human being I know.
Yeah,
There's no one. I've had the most laughs I've ever had in my life. He was there. He was always part of. So salute
100%.
to Daniel. But what you think, man? D&D, Secret Gem?
I have this game installed. I do want to check it out at some point a little more extensively because I've had to take a look at it in the past. I remember they were like really big on trying to sponsor my channel for it, but I'm very picky about any type of gaming related sponsors. I very rarely, if at all, do them. I never pursued this one, but I did look into it. And it did look like a Matty game, like isometric RPG, D&D inspired. Looks really good. It's now available on console Game Pass. It's available on PC Game Pass, so go check it out. But Daniel's got his finger on the pulse here. This is a good one that not a lot of people were talking about. What I'm playing, though, is one that a lot of people talked about when the Bethesda deal was done. And, as I mentioned earlier, I was using my Steam Deck. What was I playing on my Steam Deck? I was playing a little Prey.
Let's go.
You know, our conversation, Cog, from a couple of weeks ago stirred something within me. And I felt I needed to go back and remind myself of a couple of things, right? As the well-known resident Deathloop slanderer, I felt I had to take matters into my own hands and really get intimate with the experience that built the mountain known as Deathloop that stands in front of me. And what I did was played a little bit of the base game, but what I really want to talk about here, and technically this isn't in Game Pass, but you have access to Prey, and this is worth paying for, is Prey Moon Crash. Now, this is where the Deathloop experience was given birth. It is a roguelike style game with AAA qualities, a consistency in its environment, and its gameplay loop. It is all consistent, but there are random elements throughout that make it a roguelike. But the progression, the vibe, the atmosphere is stellar here. And going back to Prey, you know, when I reviewed this game, I was very hard on it, I think. Not too hard on it, but I was very hard on it because I expect a lot out of Arcane. They're very much on like the top of my totem pole. So when they come around, I look at them from top to bottom, like, what are they doing? Right and wrong. And one thing I thought they got wrong was kind of the way they handled choices within Prey, because it was a very narrative focused game compared to the likes of Dishonored. And I think that distracted me a little bit from what Prey really got right, which was its extremely impressive attention to detail. So I want to just tell a little gameplay story here. This is kind of selling Prey as a core, but I'll talk about Moon Crash a little bit more in a moment because that's really what made me want to pick this. So Prey is so cool in the sense that its sound design and its visual design are very cohesive, that it can produce some really terrifying moments. One example that I have, I was in a containment chamber and I had freed a couple of Typhons. And have you played Prey?
Briefly, but
Okay.
continue.
So for those who have, when the Typhons are walking around, it's like a very monstrous kind of stomping, very bassy, like you hear them coming. And I freed an electric Typhon, and it's stomping around, and it starts making its way to me. And because it's an electric one, as it's approaching, I'm like hiding away. The lights start to flicker because it's an electric one in that room. I never, I played Prey twice and I played Mooncrash a lot. I'd never seen this before. At least I didn't remember it. And it was that moment of as it's stomping around, and I only have like a silenced pistol with 10 shots. The lights are flickering. I'm like sitting there in the corner, like, oh shit. Like,
what's going down?
Yeah, it's so good in that regard. It's an extremely dynamic game with emergent elements like that don't feel forced, because it's not like an open world game where courier runs up to you, got a letter for you, your eyes only, a little Skyrim energy, right? Like always presenting it to you. It just happens naturally in Prey. And Mooncrash, why I almost view it as the superior product to Prey, is because Mooncrash takes all the elements of Prey and just, I think, puts on full display, showcases how flexible they are. So just like any arcane game, you have a set of abilities that you can use, your Typhon abilities, stealth upgrades, weapons you can put together, all that stuff. But in this game, you have 5 different people you could play as, and each of them take from those abilities and those perks that you get from the base game and have their own progression trees, and they kind of build upon them a little bit more. So you'll have like a mechanic who already has the built-in repair perk. So maybe they can, in their run, go over to the mass driver and repair it. So when the security guard is going to escape, they'll get in the mass driver and be able to get out of there in time. And it's that's the consistency in the loop and why it makes it so good. Because I am not a roguelike guy. The fact that I can do one thing in a run and it stays that way. If I take bullets off a body and I go back and run 2 and look at that body's empty and that body's in the same spot. If I go into room A in corridor B in one run, it'll still be there in run 2. Like, it's consistent. And because of that, you can memorize things better. It's more enjoyable to go back into. It feels more like a handcrafted experience with some randomized elements there. And none of the randomized elements come down to loot and bullshit. It's more about encounters and how they approach you. And that's where Prey shines, like the dynamic nature of it all. So, of course, I'm a huge Arcane fan, and I recommend you play Prey if you haven't. But I just got to say that Mooncrash is an experience unto itself. And it came out around the time that Fallout 76 was just getting announced. So it was an expansion that, it was a year after its release, didn't have enough room to breathe, I feel. I think, I want to say Rage 2 was also coming out at this time. Bethesda was very busy, right? Shuffling a lot of things around. And the conversation on Prey soured a little bit because they did this multiplayer DLC called Typhon Hunter, which really wasn't it was a cool idea. Like, you play as a mimic and you try to like hide in the environment while a player plays as you and tries to like run around and find you. And so the conversation soured on things. It's like, we don't want this. We want more of like Mooncrash. But the conversation on Mooncrash was so quiet. And I think it got smothered because it was right up against the whole summer showcase window and Fallout and what was happening with that. So it quickly got brushed under the rug. So I urge you all, check out Prey. If you like Prey, there's more for you. And if you haven't played Mooncrash, but you have played Prey, you're doing yourself a disservice. And if you like Deathloop and you're curious what Deathloop offers, that's better, by the way, check out Prey Mooncrash, because I'm telling you, every element of Deathloop was built off the back of Prey Mooncrash. I just will say, I think Prey does it better. Now, why is that? It's because, again, Deathloop, it sacrifices too much of what makes an arcane game great. And because it does that, I think you lose a little bit of that arcane DNA. So the environments aren't as expansive and explorable. Of course, there's the atmosphere in Prey. That helps a lot. Like, there's a terrifying element to all Prey.
That helps.
But I think when they built Deathloop, multiplayer may have been the kiss of death for this game, because the exploration, the interaction, the loop doesn't feel as good as something like Prey Mooncrash, where, again, a very single player driven experience. Also, the simulation makes a lot more sense. I feel you're literally sitting down in a seat and going through simulations, and there's a whole story attached to it that's about a family. A family, by the way, that if you go through some of the photos in there, kind of looks eerily similar to a certain protagonist for a game that came out at the end of 2021 from Arcane Studios. So yeah, they knew they had something here with Prey Mooncrash and built a whole game off of it. If you want to see
I'm looking at the image right here.
where it all originated from, go ahead, give it a look.
No doubt. Excellent recommendations. Yeah. And it's funny because you talk about your potential heel turn. One of the things we forgot to mention was your concern for Arcane's direction. There's been a lot of Arcane and Redfall, and then you came off a Deathloop. So it's cool to see you go back to the essence and be like, look, these are why I fell in love with this damn studio. You know what I'm saying? I like it.
I think I'm going to become that indie guy. Like, I'm just going to start only playing indies at some point, right? I notice how I'm only playing JRPGs as of lately. I don't think there's a coincidence in that. Like, I didn't realize it until until this point in the year. I'm like, I'm only playing this type of game right now.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Sometimes we fall into the pocket of what kind of satisfies us, that what draws us right now. And sometimes the mainstream games everyone likes sometimes ain't for us. Sometimes I've noticed that, and I'm the type that when I love hard, so I'm gonna play that type. I don't care what the masses are doing. I'm doing this. So what, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I am. So I think that you could be in that pocket too.
Indeed. So with that, check out Prey Mooncrash. Prey is available on Game Pass. Mooncrash payable expansion. Let's move into our final questions of the show from the audience. Cog. First one comes from Ben, the Hitbox Detective. Hey, Dukes. I remember when Castle Crashers came out, myself and all my friends were obsessed with it. What are your all-time favorite Xbox Live Arcade games? Hope you both have I had to spend $20 on 1,600 Microsoft points when I only needed 1,200 kind of day. Yo, they used to get us on the Microsoft points. I forgot about that. They used to get us all the time on those.
Bro, shout out to Ben, the Hitbox. Lords of Gaming.net in the building. That's my guy. Salute to him.
Nice.
Great coverage. He does this phenomenal coverage, Nintendo coverage as well. Look, he's right, man. Like, first of those points were hilarious. It's gotta be State of Decay.
Oh, that's my answer too. Yes, bro. State of Decay.
Bro, I fell in love with Undead Labs. I'm like, what? It was this little janky thing, but like, you cared about that permadeath. You cared, and it really, as much as the zombie genre is run by like Resident Evil and all that stuff. This was the Walking Dead game I always wanted. Like, you building a community, you're getting people together. Yo, we got to get resources. We're low on food. Okay, we're going to make a run, but it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yo, if you got to be smart. And then, like, I remember when I lost that main character, I felt away. Like, it bothered me because you really invest so many hours to keep these people alive. Yes. And I just loved it. It was just emergent, dynamic gameplay. And it didn't have this strong narrative, but it was so ambitious for a little indie game to be doing all of this. And I see why Microsoft invested. And you want to talk about nurturing and natural growth. This is an example. Undead Labs had this gem. Shout out to Strain and the team. Shout out to my man Richard Fogey and all those guys. I talked with them. I was like, it's something about it. And all we want now, right, is this to see them really budget out and truly, because you know the core is there, like it's so there, like. But yeah, State of Decay, it's got to be that. The last little fun, little silly one is just because I'm a, kind of 80s baby, and I'm mad because I can't play it again because of licenses. They had this stupid little Voltron game.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this. Yeah.
It was a twin stick shooter, but it was just goofy, and it like they literally. They must have used all the money on a license. Like, they had the whole cartoon intro. It would be the equivalent of them doing a indie version of one of your anime games. Like they literally did the whole thing, all the callbacks and arms and legs and how far the music plays, and it was like I was a kid. I was like, oh my god, this is Voltron. I used to wake up Saturday mornings for this. I was so hyped. And then they had the thing where they all merged together, and it was QTE, but it was fun. It was like, all right, I'm controlling Voltron's arm. Okay, you use the sword, put the sword together. It was just fun, goofy anime. And I loved it. Yeah. So those are the two I missed the most.
Yeah, I gotta completely agree with you. State of Decay to me is like the defining Xbox Live Summer Arcade game, man. I remember the Xbox Summer Arcade is just something that needs to come back in earnest. Like, they really need to get into that. But especially State of Decay, man. That was a experience, like discovering that $20 and just connecting with your main character, that permadeath, really making sure everyone stays alive. I never had to go through my main character death in my first game. The second game was a lot more dynamic, so I did go through that. But the first game, man, I managed to keep my boy alive the whole way through. But it was intense, right? Like when things got hot, you're like, oh, whoa, back out, run. Like it is a really, really good game. So yeah, the first State of Decay just hits home. But for me, another one I think of is Turtles in Time Reshelled. This was a Ubisoft remake of Turtles in Time that came out. I still have it on my Xbox 360 hard drive. I have my hard drive just chilling in my closet. Heaven forbid it ever corrupts. I'll never have access to it again. But this is one that I have access to. And I got to say, I still love it to this day, man. It is a really, really fun game. A lot of people shit on it because it doesn't have the charm of the original. I'm like, okay, look, like this was during a time, again, Turtles down bad. We were getting this, and we were getting the other TMNT game that came out on the Xbox Live Arcade, which was Out of the Shadows. This is another one of my favorites because this game got torn apart. This was a 3 out of 10 across the board for many people. But I stepped in, I played it. I was like, you know what? This is all right. This is okay. Because it had like Arkham style combat. It had a co-op element. You could do like co-op attacks with the turtles. It was the game that you looked at and said, man, if y'all just had more money, like we could have had the Arkham style Turtles game we deserve and that the world doesn't know it needs. But this is the closest we ever got. And it's a good game. I put a lot of hours into it. I like it. So those are some of my favorites. I might like Ninja Turtles. I don't know.
Look, man, I ain't mad at you. We all had them games, man.
Let's talk with Chris Marshall, who writes in, hey, Dukes, after the ABK acquisition goes through, do you think we'll see Blizzard games on Steam after a 5-year hiatus? The next COD entry will be back on Steam, but nothing else from Blizzard. Similarly, what do you think happens with the Battle.net launcher? Does Xbox leave it alone, shutter it, or make a new PC launcher of all their titles? Thanks, and keep it real, fellas. This is an interesting talking point that we do need some answers on when the time comes, because I think they're going to keep things split with Battle.net, but I do think Steam's going to have to become an option. You have to imagine Xbox is already supporting Steam. Why would one division of their games not?
Yeah, right. It's a great question. I love these questions, Chris. But these were literally the questions in my head when I heard the announcement, and I was just like, "Yo, what's gonna happen?" Like, Steam, Microsoft, and Steam have been cozy, and you get that extra revenue, and then, the other thing too is, let's be honest, not all games are going to be multi-plat, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, you got to, get a little money on the back end, and maybe Steam, get some of them games. I would think that that relationship would have to improve there, and you will see some games go to Steam. It's gonna feel weird, but I would think that happens. The question for me though is still Battle.net. Like, that is so intriguing to me. I remember when Destiny was over there, when finally jumped, I betrayed the Xbox One, and I became a PC Master Race guy for a good.
Of course.
Look, I had to, man. That 60 frames was calling me. That field of view, oh my God, I was blown away. But yeah, I remember though playing it on Battle.net first, and I'm like, damn, this is really solid, very positive experience. And I gotta be honest, PC Master Race guys, y'all could come for me. I'm just talking about from my experience. If I had to compare the life of I'm a day one, every day Destiny player. I know that game in and out, the way it feels, the way it plays. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, on Battle.net, it was superior. The anti-cheat was in there. Everything was smooth and nice. When it came to Steam, it wasn't as tight. Bugs was a little, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as tight. The Battle.net experience was superior. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, I got to give him some credit. I got to name drop a little bit. Shout out to Mikey Barra. I was playing with those guys over there. They had a very strong clan in Destiny. Mikey Barra played games straight up. Like, so I remember that Battle.net experience like this. So I am curious, because to me, that is a resource they're going to control. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can't see them getting rid of it, but it's like, how do they keep that in line with Game Pass, with PC Game Pass? That's the question. Like, what happens there on the PC side, and then we have the what is it the what is it, the Riot Game stuff that we got to look into, right?
Yeah,
That's
Riot Games as well.
there's a lot of questions on the PC side. I don't know
It's very
how
scattered.
they, yeah, it's like, how are they going to consolidate that? To me, I don't worry about I mean, yes, the console stuff and the games and the studios, yes, that's a lot to manage, no doubt. But to me, the PC stuff is very intriguing. I don't know. Do you have thought, like, I'm still torn what they're going to do?
Because I think you could immediately look at Bethesda and go like, oh, they shut down Bethesda Net and went to Steam. But I think it's because Bethesda Net was a failed venture. I don't think BattleNet is a failed venture, but I think Xbox has to know they would benefit from having it all in one place, especially with their focus on like Windows 11 being really about gaming and their attempts to improve the Xbox app. I feel like they have to know that there would be a strong benefit to having it all in one place, but also their big focus is being everywhere, accessible everywhere, right? So Steam, BattleNet, and the Xbox app is probably more along the lines of what they're looking for. So I think Steam is in the future. I feel like their goal is to be on every platform imaginable, and this included, because if it's on Steam, then maybe you could play these Blizzard games on Steam Deck. Like, I think that's the way they're thinking, right? Having accessibility to their games on any device, whether it be cloud or native. And I feel it'd be really weird to acquire this set of studios and not put their games on Steam. I just think there's too much exposure there. And especially if they start to let these other Call of Duty work cycle teams off the leash and make their own stuff, they're going to need all the exposure they can get if they're going to make something like, say, Singularity. I think Xbox could really benefit from having a presence on Steam. And again, part of this is, I don't want to galaxy brain this too much, but you want to make sure you're making public facing decisions that look really good in the face of a company that has gone sour, right? So if you're like announcing after the acquisition, we're bringing their games to Steam now, that's like a positive look for Xbox, right? They have to know there's some good PR involved in that we're making our games available on another platform. And I think that's a win into its own that you have to consider as well. So ultimately, I think BattleNet hangs around, but I think their games do come to Steam after the acquisition. Not immediately, but I think over time.
It's going to be interesting. I want to see how they handle, like, for example, a thing like Overwatch and BattleNet is very distinct with the way they handle anti-cheat and policy and stuff like that. And how does that play? I'm very curious how they let Microsoft navigate this. PC community is a whole different beast.
Yes, very true. We got a write in here from Brock Augustus. Hey, Cog and Matty. Recently, I hopped into Portal 1 and 2 for the first time via the Companion Collection and had a thought. Are there any critically acclaimed franchises the Dukes have missed out on? By missed out on, I mean you haven't played the games and have generally avoided spoilers and gameplay for the franchise. I am now infatuated with the Portal games and I can't believe I put these off for so long. Next on my list are both BioShock and Mass Effect. Just curious if you boys have any masterpieces in your backlog you haven't gotten around to. Have a, I really wanted the cake, but the cake is a lie kind of day. I find this interesting, less because of Portal, but that this man has avoided both Mass Effect and BioShock spoilers, especially BioShock. BioShock is always being spoiled. That is crazy. If I were Brock, if you're listening, please get into BioShock first. You are in dangerous territory and you do not realize it. This is an important game that must be experienced unspoiled. Please, for the love of God, get into it now. Cog, have you missed out on any generational video games besides dang around?
So many. Dude, that was cool. Yeah. So many. Oh man, I think right now is just you got me with Arcane, man. Like I'm like it's so many. It's just like it's so many games. See, my problem is this.
Okay, let's hear it.
I love hard. When I like something, I love hard and I obsess. You see me with the Destiny. You see me down the rocker. It's hard to pull me away. It's not that I don't want to play these games. I just that
yourself.
I know myself. All I think about is that game. Like I can't wait to get home and do this, that, this. I can't. Like that's just how I get. When I love something, I love hard, and that's what ends up happening. Is games that I have to make what I consider business decisions. They come around the same time as something I love. Like, for example, I feel sorry for anything that's going to come out around Midnight Suns. I know where I'm going, right? That it's just certain games. If I have my eye on you,
strong and I've been your convictions, bro.
that's just me, and I
Yeah.
want to just wrap up. You know what I mean? Under covers with that all day, and I'm like, yeah, you cute, that's nice. I'm good. That's just me. So that's what happens. It's not that I look at the games like, yo, I don't want to play that or it's whack. It's just that I sit there and I make a business decision. And I'm like, oh, you know what's going to happen when that game comes out. You know what you're going to do. And every other game is like, hey, but me. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not my baby, though. So that's what happens. So, yeah, it's been that. And right now it's Arcane. I really want to get, because now they're on my radar a lot, you know.
Yeah.
We talked about Dishonored. We talk about the praise. We're talking about all these classic games, and plus it's fun because I need to know the Matty conundrum.
Yeah, I mean, right now though, you're shaping up to be my mortal enemy because you're gonna play Deathloop as your first one. That's what's gonna happen here. I can hear it now. You know, playing Naraka Blade Point for about a month or so. The announcement's gonna come in. Deathloop's day one on Game Pass through Xbox. It's like, oh, I'll play that. I don't know, man. Dishonored 1 is about 12 hours long.
That's not bad. That's not bad. No. That's not bad. I need to stop it. It's just, bro. I know how I get. Look, I'll get home and I'm so bad, Matty. I'll pin the games I'm supposed to play backlog as homework at the top of my list. But all right, let me just play one game with the Naraka. Let me play a little bit of As Dust Fall. I'm in love with As Dust Fall.
Dangerous.
Yeah. And then it just happened. And the next thing you know, 5 hours go by and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. That's just the type of game I am. It's just, I'm a very passionate, in the moment, love hard gamer.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great that you have that. For me,
what about you?
I'm very rigid in my ways. I think after Retro Rebound, I'm learning every day there's a new thing I haven't played that I really need to check out. Just because I do this, so I play for the first time series, and it's a lot of fun. I go back to these old games, I play them, I'm like, oh, this is actually really good, or this is okay. And a lot of people get a kick out of my reaction, so I'm just going through all these games that I have missed. If I could pick one out, though, it's definitely Half-Life. Like, one I don't know anything about. Half-Life 1, 2, the cliffhanger. I own Half-Life Alyx, but I never got a chance to play it because of Cog Meta. I'm sorry, man. Just the timing was catastrophic for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
And, I feel like that's a series that I don't know anything about, and I could be really blown away by because everyone talks about Half-Life 3 and how it's got to happen because of what happens at the end of Half-Life 2, I believe it is, or something like that. Again, I don't even know that part of the spoiler. Like, I just know people want Half-Life 3. To me, that's the crazy one I've missed out on completely. Actually, I should say, you know what? I did play the Orange Box on 360. This was in high school, though, man. I couldn't tell you a thing about it, but I did play the Orange Box a little bit. So maybe that one doesn't count, but that was the one that came to mind, like a generational big game that people talk about. I'm sure there's other ones that I'm looking at my room here.
So many.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm pretty good with being on the up and up, but I think my JRPG, I think what I've learned is my JRPG portfolio was actually quite lacking until recently. I thought I played a lot of good ones, a lot of big ones, but as I've dug more into Final Fantasy, I'm like, it's another really good one. Oh my God, another good one. This series continues to bang. I'm like, I'm getting more and more why people love it. Dragon Quest is like one I haven't played or know much about. So yeah, there's a lot there that I have yet to experience. Devil May Cry. I've only played the fifth one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, you never played the originals. Okay.
Yeah, never played the originals. I did play 4, but like I haven't played the originals. There's a lot of the originals of things that I missed out on.
Yeah, I got you.
So a lot of answers, unfortunately, Brock. Thank you for writing in. Last question here, Cog. I want to get your thoughts on this one because I'm trying to slowly tug you back into the wrestling world. Like, I'm trying to make you a highlight clip viewer is what I'm trying to do. I don't think I'm going to get you into the weekly viewing. I'm trying to get you into like sub into the YouTube channel and just watching a couple of matches during a lunch break type of guy. And Lins27 writes in, yo, Dukes, not a gaming related question, but knowing Matty is a wrestling fan, I have to ask, how do you feel about the news that big Vince McMahon has retired and left WWE? Will this make you interested in the product going forward? I spent $25 million of my company money to hide my infidelity kind of day. Yeah, I was talking to my friends about how on Defining Duke, just probably a couple months ago, I was talking about Vince McMahon's really funny. Like, I love these clips of him. I'm watching him online. This guy's hilarious. And then all this shit breaks out about him. I'm like, cut that, erase that. That never happened.
Yeah,
Oh
man. They
man,
got Vince.
they got
Yeah.
Big Vince bad. So Vince is gone. He's out. To me, this is like I always thought that I don't know if you caught the news. I should start off with this that they're shifting the rating for WWE up to more like PG-13, TV-14.
Really? No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so they're about to get a little more hardcore because that was why I liked AEW. They were doing the bloody matches, the cursing on the mic, a little more hardcore, little
More
edge to it,
hardcore.
right? Kind of ECW days,
CW vibe.
right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the early 2000s WWE, late 90s WWE. Like that's the vibe they're bringing. Things are about to get really interesting though because the WWE now is going to start doing that. But when I saw that, Cog, I kind of put my nose up and I said, well, your creative's still bad. Like you're still making wild story choices, misusing wrestlers ad nauseum. But now Vince is out, which was a big source of that problem. And Triple H is the head of creative.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I saw that. I was like, you know what? This is about to turn up a notch. I might have to tune in for a couple of nights and see. But I want to know, Cog, if as a guy who, you talked about the 2 TVs, the Monday Night Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, what's the vibe for you after Vince McMahon's gone, right? This is icon and he's gone. How do you feel about the state of wrestling?
It's interesting. This is, for me, this is a moment. Like, I don't know anything but Vince McMahon, right? So to see him not be a part of it's just like, I go back from like Saturday night's main event back in the day and, just seeing this crazy thing make network television and him bringing it to the mainstream and WrestleManias. As y'all know, a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. I credit him for kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like seeing that vision and doing something unprecedented at the time, which was babyface versus babyface, right? So it's Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 6. You really don't know who's going to win. And then he goes this bold direction to go Warrior for the championship. But look, it's the end of an era. The question now is, to your credit, AEW boys is outside. Like that's all I hear about. And now it's like if they've went this more mature vibe and it's more believable and it's more the storylines, like more exciting. That's what it's about. To me, it's always about those good storyline and those good books and making sure that, what the thing sometimes I used to get on my nerves with WWE later. I always get mad when the person who deserves a push ain't getting the push because of backstage politics.
Yeah, it's very common.
Old school, whatever name, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to call out no wrestlers, but them vets that been there a while.
Yeah.
And they don't want to put no one over, right? That's the term. Like they don't want to put the young hot over or whatever. He got to pay his dues. He's got a job all these times. Yeah. And it's just like, nah, bro, like sometimes you could see it. Like this is the wave it got to go. But the backstage, and WWE had that a lot. I remember WCW had that a lot too. So that's where it's at. I am going to pay attention because I want to see what's really going to happen. And also, let's be honest, this is very powerful. So there's a part of me that's like, is this just a public relations move to save face it? He out here funneling the notes to AAA, and this is where it's going. This is what y'all doing. You figurehead in name only. Like he's got a big ego. Vince has been running this thing for a long time. For him to step down is kind of embarrassing. We know the allegations was crazy, but it's like we gonna see. But then again, maybe it is true change. Maybe because is it wifey still part of it? Elizabeth and Stephanie.
Yeah, Stephanie, I know, is still the head, or she is the head now. She's taking Vince's spot. I don't know about Elizabeth though. I didn't know about Elizabeth until recently. Again, I was watching these wild Vince McMahon clips. You know what this guy did? There was a clip when all the Vince McMahon stories are coming out. I didn't know this, but he walks out with his wife in a wheelchair, right? And she's just sitting there like motionless. I was playing her role in the story. He walks out with Trish Stratus and starts making out with her in front of his wife. I'm just like, bro,
he's a wild boy.
Yeah, unreal. So I didn't know about Elizabeth until very recently. I was like, that was my first introduction. I was like, good God.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, Linda. I always call Elizabeth. Linda McMahon. Yeah, like,
oh, that's her name.
Like, bro. I think it's Linda. Yeah, I think I messed up the names. But like, and I heard behind the scenes that she was responsible for like salvaging certain things when wrestlers were pissed off of Vince. She's like really responsible. Now here's the thing though, there still could be true change because let's just say these allegations are true. He was wilded out, and now the family is like, yeah, we got this now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he may have to do. It's an interesting. It is worth watching. I will say that. It is worth watching to see what's going on. And your boys are setting the trends now, so maybe they trying to compete.
Perhaps,
realize,
we shall see. But Enlins, thank you for writing in. Thank you everyone for writing in this episode of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. We hope you all enjoyed. Cog, we're at the top of the episode, or at the end of the episode, sorry. And what's the feel for the hashtag? You guys had Power Wash DD last week, it looked like. So that one is officially taken.
I mean, someone is back.
Okay. I like the little double entendre there. Okay.
Yeah, so we just got to flip that back somewhere in this.
So back DD.
Back DD.
All right.
He's back. So I'm back DD by myself, or he's back. Either one, I'm fine.
We'll do back DD because it's got the double back meaning. DD. I don't want to stroke my ego too much. He's back. The show is saved now.
The show is saved. Back DD. Let's go. All right.
So if you got this far, let us know in the comments on Twitter. Hashtag BackDD. I'm at G27status. That's at Lord Cognito. Check out either of us. Interact. Let us know what you thought of the show. As always, have a great rest of your week. And Cog, any closing thoughts from you, my friend?
Another one in the books. The Dukes are back.
Indeed.
Appreciate the support. Yeah, looking forward for more fun topics and things cooking up.
Indeed. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week for episode 83 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Let's go, Mets.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.